Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Camp Hustle One here, back with another live stream. How you guys doing? We're back. We're back with another one. Tonight's going to be a good one, guys. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, guys. So another week has gone by, and we have more stuff to talk about. I definitely got to say, this week has definitely been a lot more news heavy in terms of outlandish things being said. I believe Ye just released an album that's pretty much going against the powers that be, and he's saying everything that he needs to say. We also have people on Piers Morgan outlandishly just saying whatever they want to say and not holding anything back. People even equating certain situations to other situations. What I'm talking about is the Carmelo Anthony case that's going on, and now the thing that's going on with the lady that called the kid in the park the N-word. So they're kind of equating those two together as a racially charged situation, and I'm here to jump into it, guys. So let's go. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go right into it. All right, so the first video we're going to talk about today is going to be the Piers Morgan panel that he had, basically talking about Shiloh Hendricks and Carmelo Anthony, and whether this is freedom of speech, defending freedom of speech, or enabling hatred. Definitely something that I will probably hold off on my personal takes until we get towards the end of the video. But for right now, let's just jump right into it.
The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused to post race-baiting commentary.
Oh, wait, hold on. I just kind of skipped ahead here. Okay, let's get back here. Sorry about that, guys.
The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child.
Did you call the child word? It is my own business. You call him a
What you're advocating for, it seems, is that for the rest of Shiloh's life, she...
Real quick, how is the audio on that? Is that low or is that high? Let me make sure. All right, we're at 300, so it looks like audio's good. Hopefully everything's coming okay. Is my microphone in? Let's make sure. I don't see the levels on my mic. That's why I want to make sure everything sounds good. Test. Where is my mic here? Yeah, it looks like it's coming in. Test. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right, let's go.
should be canceled and silenced rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences.
Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks and saying the N-word. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So
Myron, the old defender of everything white here. This was definitely something I was wondering, why was he even brought on to this podcast? Maybe because he does have hot takes, and he is very provocative, and he's definitely going to stir the pot. And I'm pretty sure that's why Piers Morgan brought him on, not because he represents white people or if he represents black people. He's just a commentator.
I don't want to hear it about, oh, she made $500,000 because she said the N-word. Who cares?
I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say it. Say the N-word, go on.
No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it.
Before we get started, I gotta let you guys know, as far as the thing that reminded me of all of this, let me just go ahead and pull it up real quick. I think it was, Delroy, N-word. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. This one right here. Delroy Lindo wants smoke when the host asked to says he can't say the N-word. Let's listen. This is what it reminded me of, the whole situation.
About this on the show before. You have African-American rappers saying N-word this and N-word that, but a Caucasian can't.
So say it.
Say what?
Say the word you want to say.
I'm not saying that I want to say it. I'm just saying that I can't.
Sure you can. Say it right now. I will say it with you.
Okay, this is hypocritical. You know we can't.
Sure you can. This is America. Both of you. Say it.
All right, I think we can move on.
Why move on when you want to say it? Both.
And let's see, how long ago was this? This was like, yeah, 5 years ago. 5 years ago when that clip came out. But I immediately thought of that when this came up. So it was just, it's funny how things happen in history and then they happen again and it's even more recognized because it's, what's on everybody's mind. But yeah, this stuff was going on a long time ago in terms of being able to say the N-word and white people saying, why is it okay for rappers to be able to say it and we can't say it? When it's just like, you guys know you say it, you say it behind closed doors and it's fine. But it's when you start saying stuff online and when you're on, television and whatever, and that's when your jobs get taken away.
Two recent stories in the US have laid bare the shocking levels of racial division in American society, amplified by extreme and viral takes on social media. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony is a black teenager charged with stabbing a white boy to death at a school track meeting in April. More than $600,000 in donations have poured in, not for the victim's grieving family, but for his alleged killer. Last week, Shiloh Hendricks went viral after a video showed the young mother racially abusing a 5-year-old, allegedly for stealing from her young child.
Call him a child? Did you call the child word? It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Fuck you. Huh? All right, that's what you say.
You'll go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody digging into your shit.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old.
Well, as you can see, Hendricks doesn't deny using the slur. In fact, she repeats it many times. That's
one thing I need to mention, the word that's going around is about the 5-year-old kid, whether he's 5 years old or whether he's 8 years old, whether he has autism or not. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into it. I should have, maybe, just to confirm all of this stuff. But people are making it just like they keep adding more details to it, saying that, yeah, why would you say it to a 5-year-old kid? Why would you say it to a 5-year-old kid with autism? Now they're saying, oh, why would you do it to a 5-year-old baby? And it's just like, dude, it's all bad at the end of the day. Kavos, what's up, buddy? Sup, Camp? Very clever title. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, dude. I wanted to. This was definitely something that was on my mind, and I think I touched on it last stream, but I was just very quick in glancing. It was a very light work last stream, and I think I just glanced on this story, but I didn't really speak too much about it. But then, as more of the story developed, this lady Shiloh Hendricks, she started a GoFundMe campaign, and now she's closer to $1 million now just through donations. And a lot of people are saying that this is she's basically, a lot of white supremacists are basically donating to her cause because they're like, yeah, this is great. We want more of this, of people just outwardly saying what they want and not feeling pressured, when, I believe there was, I guess, talk saying that maybe she has lost her job. People are actually doxing her and, now she has to move and everything. We don't know. We don't know if she lost a job. We don't know if she was a homemaker. We don't know anything, honestly. We don't, the details of Shiloh Hendricks is very, very slim. Whether she has any money that's going to go towards any civil cases, because I believe there are people trying to campaigning to have her kids taken away over this. It's just like, I don't know. Going back to the Carmelo Anthony situation and how people are trying to relate this to the Shiloh Hendricks thing, I would still think that Carmelo Anthony shouldn't have brought a knife to a track meet. It just seems like everybody's just like, they're all jumping on the self-defense thing, but he had a knife. He brought a knife to school, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting that whole thing, when, it could have easily just been nothing at all. If he had brought nothing at all, then, maybe, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting that whole thing when, it could have easily just been nothing at all. If he had brought nothing at all, then, maybe, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting that whole thing when, it could have easily just been nothing at all. If he had brought nothing at all, then, maybe, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting that whole thing when, it could have easily just been nothing at all. If he had brought nothing at all, then, maybe, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting that whole thing when, it could have easily just been nothing at all. If he had brought nothing at all, then, maybe, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting that whole thing when, it could have easily just been nothing at all. If he had brought nothing at all, then, maybe, I don't know. I don't know why anybody is like just kind of discounting then there probably wouldn't be anybody dead. There probably would have been maybe a fight, maybe, but that's probably about it. I think I might have mentioned it before that, whether it was a knife or a gun, I feel like people are so quick to, buck up and try to, stand up for themselves because they know they have something. They know that they're packing heat and they know they can defend themselves. And I think the knife is a very, very, very good reason why, he should be in jail, arrested and stuff like that. And I don't, I mean, I don't know if it's like a hot take or whatever, but I just think that, the fact that he had a weapon at all, it kind of shows intent where people are just like, no, you can carry a knife or easily a gun for protection, when it's like, come on now, you're at a track meet. How much protection do you need? So I don't know. That's just what I think about it. But as far as this lady raising money for her cause and stuff, whether she's going to use that money to, move her family out from their location because she's being doxxed or whatever, get herself back on her feet because now she's not working. I don't think people should really be mad at people donating money. The fact that she has all these people rallying behind her. It's just, it is what it is, man. You can't control what people want to do with their money. I don't see what the fuss is with all of that. Should she have said the N-word? It's her right. At the end of the day, it's her right, and it's black people's right to say the word, cracker to white people. People say that all the time. I do kind of think of it as, a sign of low IQ if you resort to doing that. If you, cannot articulate yourself in a way or carry yourself in a manner that kind of commands respect. I think it is very low IQ to just kind of demean people, and it's like playground insults,
All the stuff is bleeped out when a bystander in the park follows her with his smartphone. Hendricks set up a fundraiser on the same website as Carmelo Anthony's supporters, on which she wrote, "I called the kid out for what he was." Incredibly, that campaign has now raised more money than the first one, surpassing $655,000 at the time of taping the show. Well, the boss of the website, Give, Send, Go, is accused of facilitating brazen racism on a platform whose motto is "Money is temporary, Jesus is eternal. He will join me later." Liberals say this is exactly what they've been warning about, that the post-BLM backlash and the crushing of DEI has provided a fig leaf for outright bigotry. Conservatives were similarly outraged by the support for Carmelo Anthony, an alleged murderer who's been glorified by some as a victim of a racist system. We're here to debate all this is the host of the Fresh and Fit podcast, Myron Gaines, the host of Night School on YouTube, Mark Lamont Hill, Lily Gaddis, a social media commentator whose video defense of the N-word mother has so far been viewed millions of times on X, and the New York Post columnist and author Ricky Schloss.
Hold on. Going back a little bit to Miss Lily Gaddis, I didn't know who she was until I looked into her, and I was like, oh, she was the lady that went viral on TikTok for saying the N-word just casually. And you know what? Let me make sure. Let me see if I have that. For any of you guys that don't know, I think it's good to know. Get a little bit of context here, just to see the clip of what she said. Oh, couldn't find the account. Maybe, let's see. Let's go to the video. Yeah, I think it's this one. Let's make sure.
It's the best way to piss people off. Just sprinkle a little bit of
racism.
So there is a TikToker, y'all, Lily Gaddis. She was in a TikTok video, otherwise boring TikTok.
Know who's married right now?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke ass niggas.
The way she is saying this is if she says it, "Good morning," and
good morning,
like it looks over, like I'm serious. It's crazy.
Yo, like you just wake up. What up? Like
immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers.
I did not know it was possible to offend 7 people in one 30-second clip. Lily, she's doing that thing that a lot of conservative people do where they just say really messed up things.
And yeah, she went viral for it. So, but yeah, I mean, I wish I could find the whole thing, but I was trying to look for it on TikTok, unfortunately. Let me see. That's Facebook. Oh, not YouTube.
It's the best way to piss people off.
No, not this one. Hold on. I mean, you guys basically saw it just now, but is it?
Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke ass niggas.
You know, white people.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty much it. Let's just go back. That she basically went viral for saying that, and yeah, I guess a lot of people. She garnered a huge audience after doing that, and it is what it is, man. I think you can pretty much say anything online, and you will garner an audience of people that agree with you, and then people that hate you. So,
well, welcome to all of you, Ricky. Look, my take on this is a stain on all their houses, right? I just don't know what is happening to society when you have such vast sums of money being raised for what seems to me to be deliberate, racially charged, motivational reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're fighting ugly with ugly right now, and I think this level of racial tribalism and hostility is just simply not sustainable in such a diverse democracy like America. I think it's, one is really a reaction to the other. I think both can.
One thing I want you guys to take notice of, while this woman is talking on the far right, I want you to look at Myron's body language and also Lily Gaddis' body language. Both of them are not agreeing with anything this woman's saying in terms of, hey, can we all just get along? This isn't sustainable for us to go on hating each other like this. Yeah, you can just kind of see it in their body language. And also, once Lily Gaddis starts talking, I want you guys to also look at Myron and see how this is literally a woman after his own heart in terms of like these views that she has really line up with his. And it was really kind of what spawned the whole thumbnail of this video. I was like, you know what? I think if she was down, I think Myron would definitely hit her up in the DMs, if you know what I'm talking about.
Campaigns are really hideous, and I think we're showing our ugliest colors. I mean, in the scheme of things, these are small sums relative to the population of America, but you do see, I think, a really tremendous explosion of ugliness and racial hostility that I think that we should all be ashamed and embarrassed of.
Yeah, I mean, you described it, I think, in one of your posts.
It might be a small subset of people in the population that have these views, these, controversial views, but it's usually the people that have these platforms, these big platforms that millions of people, followers and stuff, that they repost their tweets online and their videos and stuff go viral. So it's like, yeah, they might represent a small sect of people, but their message gets out and it reaches a huge audience, people that didn't even know who they were. I mean, I knew Myron, I knew Piers Morgan. I don't know this lady on the far right. I don't know this gentleman in the middle. And then Lily Gaddis, I had a very faint idea of who she was, but then once I did some research, I was like, oh, she's that lady, the controversial mom that says the N-word just casually. And then but yeah, the thing is, you say something crazy, you get back in the top of everybody's consciousness, and then you kind of fade into obscurity. So maybe next week, maybe this will all blow over, or maybe they have to do something else, to get back in the limelight.
Genuinely, is this a psyop? This would be the best $1 million invested by a foreign adversary to start a race war in America. And I knew exactly what you're getting at, because many of the I think the comments have now been suspended actually on both of these funding pages, because people were quite obviously deliberately misusing them to post race baiting commentary.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go through some of the comments on either of them, you have White Lives Matter on one side, and like suggestions that the teenage boy who was stabbed was somehow like a manifestation of white supremacy, and it seems to be just a fight at a track meet that has nothing to do with racial hostility in the first place. And the poor father of this young man who died too said, please don't make this into a racial issue. And yet on his own Give, Send, Go campaign, there are comments after comment saying this is White Lives Matter, we're avenging against Carmelo Anthony's family. I mean, on all ends, this is ugly. I think that it's really co-opting the charity and giving community. I mean, I feel bad for the fundraising platforms because I don't think this was the intention originally.
First of all, the fundraising campaigns, they're taking a cut as well. So they're happy for anybody that wants to donate because they get a little bit of percentage. So you got the Carmelo Anthony campaign, and now you have the Shiloh Hendricks campaign, which is bringing in millions of dollars. I mean, it just seems like, well, not yet. It's not up to $1 million yet. I don't. You know what? Let's find out. I'm not 100% on how much has Shiloh Hendricks has raised. Shiloh Hendricks. How much has Shiloh Hendricks raised? Let's see. She's at right now, it looks like $750,000. Okay. Let's check on Carmelo Anthony. Let's see how much that one has raised. I think Shiloh Hendricks has passed him, but let's see. Carmelo Hendricks, whoops. It says more than 500,000. Yeah, 500K. Not bad. $500,000. Not bad. All right. Well, that was good to know.
But unfortunately, I think that people are really starting to take over good intents and the charity industrial complex to make it into a victim industrial complex, and it's really sad to see.
Well, we're going to have one of the founders of...
Like I said, again, you can't control what people want to donate their causes to. You know, it's like the whole OnlyFans thing and how people, you know, people that are 17 years old, about to turn 18, and you got all this like massive wave of guys that are just waiting for the girl to turn 18 so she can release her OnlyFans. It's really sad, you know, and that's just another side of it. That's kind of what I equate it to. It's like you have just weird pockets of people that, you know, they have this excess money and they're willing to put it towards whatever they believe in.
The Give, Send, Go site a little later in the program. But Mark Lamont Hill, you were shaking your head there. I mean, what's your take on this?
There are a couple of things that were said that I think are really interesting and important. One, there is an outside audience of people who are watching all of this and opportunistically using it for their own agendas and projects. You know, I have an investment in believing X, so I'm going to jump in the comments of this GoFundMe, etc. I have an investment in Y. I'm going to do the same thing. But what I don't want to do is compare these two things as if they're opposite sides of the same coin. For me, the intention of the campaign matters. In the case of this woman who is using the N-word, the woman isn't disputing using the N-word. The woman isn't disputing being racist. And the comments that are being left on the site before they were suspended and the attitudes behind it weren't saying she's being railroaded, she's being misrepresented. They were simply saying, we support racism. And I think that's disgusting, no matter who's doing it. On the other hand, the people who are fundraising for Carmelo Anthony, the argument here isn't, yeah, we did something and we don't care like the other woman. The argument is we're being misrepresented here. We're being railroaded. This was a self-defense claim. This is not an act of violence. This isn't first-degree murder. I'm saying what they're saying. This isn't my argument. They're saying this is a first-degree murder claim that is wrong. This is actually self-defense, and we need the money to make sure that we get a fair trial. I think, and so whether you agree with his argument or not, I think raising money for a fair trial is different than raising money for a racist.
The only thing that I will say against what this gentleman has said is the defense trial, you know, raising money for Carmelo Anthony, whatever, for his defense. I get that that's what the money is intended for. But the fact is that the people are just, they're forgetting about they're saying it's a self-defense case when the dude had a knife. Like he brought a knife. He shouldn't have. He should have never had that knife with him. And that's literally something I can't get out of my head is that he brought the knife to the track meet. Whether people think, oh yeah, it's fine for him to have a knife for defense and stuff. I'm like, no. It's like I just think it was overkill. If somebody's bothering you, you either do one of two things. You either stand up for yourself and punch him out, or you walk away. Either way, I think it would have been fine either way. I mean, guys are going to fight each other, but nobody has to die. I think that's the main takeaway from what I'm trying to get at. And the whole other thing with Shiloh Hendricks and stuff, yeah, she shouldn't have said the N-word to this little kid, but I get a parent who is frustrated at seeing another person's kid reach into, I guess, her diaper bag to get some food or something. And I understand the frustration in that. I mean, it could have been her car keys in there, could have been money in there, could have been whatever. But I get that. People need to watch their kids. I would have, if that was me in the situation, I probably would have said hey, get out of there, or I would have, yelled at the parent and said hey, can you take care of your child? Cause he has his hand in, our stuff. But I just think it's all the mindset, no matter how you say things, but if you got the hate in your heart, you got the hate in your heart. And if it rolls off your tongue easily just to say whatever you got to say, then that's it. But I know that there are some people, they just get frustrated there in the moment and stuff, and they don't think they don't think the moment is going to go viral because everybody's recording everybody now. I kind of wish that there was somebody recording the whole Carmelo Anthony dispute so we can actually see how it actually went down, because all we can do is interpret what happened, whether it was self-defense or if it, if you just think about it this way. If Austin Metcalf wasn't a white kid and he would say he was a black kid and he was at the track meet and they had that whole situation the same way it panned out, where Carmelo Anthony was under a tent where he wasn't supposed to be. So the kid comes up to him and tells him, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And then Carmelo Anthony's like, well, you got to make me leave or whatever. And the kid puts his hands on him, and then they scuffle or they fight, or he stabs him in the black kid in the heart. It would have been the same thing. It's or if Austin Metcalf as a white kid was able to disarm Carmelo with the knife and maybe turn the knife back on him, it's what would it have been then? It's perception is reality for these people, and trying to figure out the details is the most important thing, but we'll never know exactly how that went down. It's just, other people's perceptions of what happened. And a lot of these onlookers that are just already hedging their bets on who they think was right in the whole situation.
I think the common theme between the two, and this is not to pass any view about it at this stage, although I have strong views about it. I guess the common theme is that both of them say that as a result of all the publicity, they've been doxxed and had all their personal details put everywhere on social media, which is, of course, the modern scourge which gets involved. And that as a result, they've had death threats and they have security issues and they have to move home and so on. I understand that part of the argument. When you're at the center of a firestorm in America and you're not used to public attention, then the levels of intimidation, threats, and so on that can come your way can be extremely intimidating, if not outright dangerous. So it's different, really, to taking a view about either of the cases, to simply say that the commonality is that they both, I think, have said in defending the amounts that have been raised is, well, we have to defend ourselves. Either, as you're putting it, through the courts, but also in his case, the alleged killer, that he has also, I think, had direct threats against him. And in the case of the mother using the M-word in that despicable manner, she has said she's had a lot of threats too.
Yeah, but they're not two sides of the same coin. It's the lady is not denying that she said something racist, that she said the N-word. She's not denying that. And I think that her whole situation is a racially charged situation, whereas the Austin Metcalf Carmelo Anthony situation could have happened with anybody. You know, it doesn't. I don't think it was even racially charged. I think it's just people on the outside looking in making it a racially charged thing because the guys happen to be black and white. Whereas, you know, if it was two white guys or two black guys, I don't think it would reach the same heights as this, because it was, you know, two different races of kids. It's just, I mean, it's always, the racism in America is always going to go to black and white. That's just what it always is. It's like everybody else is just on the sidelines when it comes to that. But yeah, if you have the situation, I mean, that's like, you know, they're just too separate. You know, I think it's just the outsiders looking in, assessing the situation of the Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, that was just two guys that had a disagreement. One guy happened to have a knife and killed the other guy, and I don't think it had any racial intention behind it. But you know, that's what people are making it as.
My quick response to that would just be, let's assume everybody's telling the truth. Let's assume she's telling the truth, and let's assume he's telling the truth. If he's telling the truth and he was doing self-defense and he's getting harassed and doxxed, and of course we already know lies have been told about his GoFundMe campaign, saying they were spending it on mansions and cars, all the kind of racist tropes. If that's true, he's being mistreated, and I think that's a sort of very easy case to make. When it comes to her, however, let's assume she's also telling the truth, that she used the word, she thinks the kid was acting like one. She feels like she has the right to use that word against that small baby because of whatever age-appropriate thing the kid did. If she's telling the truth and she's getting doxxed and harassed, I don't know if I want to reward her behavior with $500,000. I don't think she should be doxxed. I don't think she should be harassed. I think she has been mistreated to the extent that no one should be. You have a right to be racist. You have a right to free speech in this country. But I'm not donating money for it, and I feel a lot worse about her GoFundMe than the one for the person who's been railroaded.
Well, then you don't have to donate to her. That's just literally like the freedom that you have. You don't have to donate to her if you don't support her cause. And I think that is kind of the whole point to this whole situation. There are people that, you know, they happen to be, you know, they think that their race is the top supreme, you know, that they're like, I'm going to stand behind her because I think she had everything in the right to do what she did. And I agree with it. So people are you can't control where people want to put their money. You know, if you don't support the cause, and you don't have to donate to it. That's just all it is. You know, you can't say, hey, we need to stop this person from receiving money or whatever like that. No, anybody can set up a GoFundMe campaign or a Give, Send, Go campaign. And, you know, whether your cause is, you know, looked at as like somebody wants to help you out or somebody wants to, you know, support you and stuff, then yeah, they'll do it. But that's the choice that people have.
Yeah. Well, Lily Gaddis, you posted a defense of Shiloh on X. It's been viewed 2.5 million times, in which it was entitled, "White People Are Finally Fighting Back. Stand with Shiloh Hendricks." What did you mean by that? Tax day has passed, but for millions of Americans.
All right. We're going to skip his Tax Network USA. Let's get back into it. All right.
Here's the thing. White people have been under attack for years. It's been systematic racism. As much as Black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism in the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, you know, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on.
Well, wasn't the BLM riots, wasn't that happening in like Chicago, like Philadelphia, and maybe like some parts of New York and stuff? A lot of the stuff that was getting raided was in like predominantly Black neighborhoods. You know, they weren't necessarily going into like cities and stuff like that, but I mean, maybe there were a couple, you know, family-owned businesses that happened to be white, whatever, that got raided and stuff. But I thought the majority of it was like in like Black-owned neighborhoods or whatever. But I don't know. There was also another point she made. Let's go back a little bit. Let me see. Go back a little bit.
sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society.
Systemically ingrained. I'm trying to understand what she means by that in terms of like, I don't really think white people experience racism on the same level as like anybody non-white. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm just trying to think of anything off the top of my head that she could mean by that. I mean, she's talking about, DEI hires and stuff, or what? I don't. I'm trying to figure out. I was thinking race swapping for popular Disney characters. I don't know. Like, what could she mean by systematic racism towards white people? I'm really wondering about that.
Society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on our side.
Hang on. Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with anything you've just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the M-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. And so I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said. She's just a racist. Isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
white people
coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in the country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. She is. I mean, would you use the N-word?
Yeah, I was gonna say you can say freedom of speech and all that stuff, but freedom of consequences. No, I think you should still incur consequences for the things that you say. Just because you want to have a free country where you can say just the craziest things and not get in trouble for it. No, there has to be accountability for it at the end of the day. I mean, you can't expect to just, say like some crazy stuff online and then go into work the next day and, the thing goes viral and you're like, yeah, well, I was off. Okay. Like I should be able to say whatever I want when I'm off. You're like, no, because you're a representative of a company and a company has an image to uphold. And if you're out here saying crazy stuff, yeah, they have all the right to let you go for that. Coke Benny, welcome to the stream, my friend. It's been a minute, man. The guy recording was actually reported as Geppetto. A Geppetto? Really? Guy recording. Are you talking about the Shiloh Hendricks situation? Because he didn't have, what was it? I don't know his name exactly. I think it was credited in the video earlier. But I didn't know that he was reported as that. That's interesting. That's a whole nother detail that, didn't even know about. I mean, he was saying the N-word like no problem, but he didn't sound, maybe he was black, but he didn't, he had a little bit of an accent there, almost kind of like a Middle Eastern accent. But that's, I mean, I don't know. I haven't even seen what this guy looks like, but yeah, it doesn't make it right either, I mean, we all have skeletons in our closet. I'm sure the guy recording probably has maybe that stuff is true. Who knows, man?
Out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
Coke Manny came back. He says, yep, and the charges were dropped for some reason. Matt Walsh covered it on his show. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't see that, the Matt Walsh thing. I know a lot of people are talking about this. I got a few people perspectives on it. I also got Lily Gaddish's perspective on this, Myron's perspective on it. I even have Saint and the Sinner's perspective on it. I thought it kind of get a lot of people's perspectives tonight just to kind of see, because there's a lot of things that I pick up on that other people are picking up on other things. So I just kind of want to get like the full scope by seeing, where everybody is coming from here. And a lot of the, like I said, the nonverbal communication that Lily Gaddish here and also Myron are doing, they further explain it in their own videos, their own respective videos. And I think it's good to have kind of like a firm grasp on everything of what people are thinking here. But yeah, I might check that out, the Matt Walsh thing because I didn't know anything about the guy that was recording the video. All I know is like, was that his kid? You know, it sounded like, I mean, I assumed it was his kid. That was why he was taking up for him. But it just, I don't know. It just seemed like he didn't sound all the way black. Maybe my ears are off a little bit, but I thought that he had a little bit of a Middle Eastern accent.
I do, quite frankly.
You use the M word quite frequently. Well, why?
I want you guys to look at Myron right here. Look at Myron. Myron, if I could find the love music, hold on, give me one second. What is that music called? The love music? Let me, it's like, give me one second. It's like whenever you're watching cartoons and you see love music, cartoon music, love music, cartoon. I don't even know what Disney is like. I don't know. Where is it? Couple. Let me see if I can find it. You know, like what's that music when you hear it and it's like when a guy sees a girl for the first time and like he's like deeply like infatuated with her. That type of music is what I was imagining when Myron heard hold on. Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. Hold on. Oh, okay. According to Matt, it wasn't his kid, but the guy is black. Okay. Well, he had a little bit of an accent, at least from what I could tell. Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. Okay, let's do that. No, we can't do that. That's gonna get us the stream shut down. I don't even know why I'm trying to do that. I mean, just imagine the song when you hear like just when a guy sees a girl. I mean, I know we've all seen it either in a cartoon or we've seen it like in a movie, a romantic comedy or whatever. The guy sees a girl walk into the store or whatever, and it's just like, da-na-na-na, da-na-na. Yeah, it's just like that. That music, just imagine that music right now. And Myron is looking at Lily Gaddish right now when she's saying, yeah, I use the N-word all the time. 1 second. Let's go back a little bit.
Coming together and supporting another white person, and it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
Mm-hmm. I do, quite frankly.
You use the M-word quite
Look at Myron right here.
frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a...
He's just like, huh. I might have to hit her up in the DMs, man. This is a woman after my own heart. That's literally what Myron's thinking.
White supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the M-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you? Are you...
Sure,
Myron is smitten right now. He's just like, dude, this woman is checking all the boxes right now. She can call me the N-word any day.
Embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word? When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks? Why are we talking about?
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a...
I'm really surprised that Piers Morgan didn't do his research on Lily Geddes, like at all, like why she has gotten viral and stuff and why she's even, brought up in the conversation and stuff, why she has all these followers. It's like, if you just did like a simple Google search, you would have saw, she's this like person that has no problem using the N-word. Let me go ahead and bring her on and talk about, this whole, Shiloh Hendricks, Carmelo Anthony campaign and just see what her 2 cents is. So he didn't know anything about that. Do you not know about Myron either? Like Myron wears like a Klan uniform, you know, like he has a gun that when you pull it, it says the N-word on it. And I believe he uses it at the end of this whenever the guy freaks out and everything like that. But yeah, dude, it's just like, how do you not know the people that you're bringing on, like what they've said? It's like, do some research, Piers. Jeez. Coke Benny came back. He says, I bet Myron makes Angie call him. I'm pretty sure. He's like, call me the N-word. I'm calling ICE right now. I'm sure of it, man. That's just, I know Myron's definitely got to be in race play. Most definitely, man. Maybe he even has her put on the hood. You know, they role play like that. Come here, boy.
Despicable racist. And you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
I gotta say, this woman on the far right, she has not moved a muscle. She is just like, if anything, she's just blinking every once in a while, but she is like, she's just staying so still. It's almost like sometimes you look over at her and like you just wonder if her camera is like just frozen. But no, she's just doing her best to just not move a muscle. It's funny.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my
What, there are no black people in American history? Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country? Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid.
Coke Betty says he makes her peg him while wearing the hood and calls him the N-word. You know what? I'm pretty sure that's probably happened once or twice, man. If they do anything at all. I mean, you got to remember, Angie is a placeholder, okay? She's just there to, you know, drive away the not gays for Myron. You know, that's her whole position. She knows her role. Don't step out of line. You'll get unlimited amounts of money. You don't have to work. All you can do, I mean, you don't have to do anything. You can just you know, be my stand-in girlfriend and just shield me from the not gays. Okay, that's all. And you know, maybe he's like, look, I'll throw in a bonus if you want. Throw on the hood and peg me for a little bit. Oh man.
This is stupid and racist, and at some point we have to ask ourselves, do we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it?
I don't disagree, Mark.
He's platformed too racist, okay? It's just like he didn't know anything about Lily Gaddis, and he obviously doesn't know anything about Myron. It's just like, dude, you platformed too racist and just sandwich this Lamar guy right in between both of them.
I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying it's technically black people brought up. No, technically, Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. I mean, all these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even animalizing a small black child. It's disgusting.
What is it?
Yeah, I never said that.
No, but you may as well have done, because you're just an unashamed.
That's the implication of your
racist. Let me bring in Myron Gaines, because you.
Let me bring in the other racist, okay? What he doesn't realize is that it's like you basically have a balanced panel here of, you know, two people that are just, you know, one is just unashamed of the whole thing, and then the other guy who's, you know, he's trying to work in the good graces to not. I mean, he tries to be good. Myron tries to be good when he's on the shared platform with Fresh and stuff, but then when he's on his own, he's like, he just doesn't care, man. He just lets it out. And I don't know if you guys caught the latest episode of Fresh and Fit. I only saw clips of this from Reddit, but yeah, apparently a hater called in, and yeah, Myron just like spewed the F word like all over this guy, because I guess he was talking about Myron being like a nerd or something, and, you know, why are we taking dating advice from you guys? Because, you know, it's like you guys don't really. He's saying something about Fresh not having any emotion, and, you know, and then Myron defended Fresh by saying, I have motion. So by what was it? By what was it? What's the word? By proxy, Fresh has motion. Basically, like he's like I'm successful, therefore Fresh is successful. And you're like, not really. You look at the numbers and you see like both of them when they stream separately. Fresh has like 30 viewers on his thing, and maybe half of those are bots. I'm not not 100% sure on that, but it's just like the points that the guy made about just you need to drop Fresh doesn't add anything and stuff. Just the arguments we've all heard before. Myron really he unleashed on this guy, and maybe we can catch that later in the stream. But it's just something I thought about. I was just like, yeah, it's like Myron will definitely take up, and he will chimp out himself when it comes to people coming at him for the people that surround him, that he surrounds himself with. And yeah, it's really funny, bro. Kava said, yeah, Myron was coping hard when he said that. Yeah, bro. And it's just like he will die on that hill that him and Fresh are just gonna, they started the podcast together, and they're gonna end it together. There's nothing's gonna change. So, in the majority of the comments of, the people that I was reading and stuff, they're like, yeah, dude, I don't know why you guys still watch this show, man. It's like Myron is such a hypocrite. He wants to, he believes in, being like the stoic individual, and, not letting like the small things bother you, whatever. But like, dude, he gets like so emotional when, you talk about Fresh or when you talk about him. It's very funny. Very funny to watch.
You've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and, wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No, she admits she's a racist.
Well, let me
Myron is going into white supremacist defender mode. Here we go.
I'm not wagging a finger at anybody. I don't need to wag. But Myron, with respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger when somebody says, yeah, I'm racist. I use the N-word against black people. I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes.
I disagree. I'm excuse me. I disagree that everybody is racist. I think everybody in Myron's world is racist. But yeah, it's I think I've said this before. If you smell bad, I automatically hate you. That goes for anybody. That's not race exclusive, okay? I can pretty much get along with anybody. So I can honestly say about myself, I'm not racist. Can I laugh about certain stereotypes that come at me about, black people, Asian people, white people and stuff like that? Yes, I can laugh at all of it. But I'm not the type of person who will get offended by anything that's said online. So I think that's another way I'm not racist, because I'm not bothered by anything that people say. Coke Benny came back. He says, every time Myron spazzes out, he sees it as a mic drop moment. Oh, absolutely, man. And what he doesn't realize is that, he has a very, he thinks he's smart, but he has a very, very limited scope of an intelligence. And when it comes to just generalizations and, his little talking points that he has on the show and stuff, it's all within his own framework. So it doesn't really apply to the rest of the world, or even outside of Miami when you think about it. It's just a very limited mindset that he has. And this is a product of a guy who went through college, as the token black friend, not necessarily black, but just the token, non-white friend in the group of white guy friends, and trying to go through that, try to navigate that acceptance if you fast forward to today, he's still trying to be accepted by those people. and that means, the whole defend or die on a hill and stuff. That's what he's going to do, in terms of, always kind of shielding them from any type of accountability that they have to endure. And then when it comes to like, well, what do you think, Myron? Do you think that what she did was wrong? He'll just go to, well, I think it's her right to say it. What I feel has nothing to do with it, which I'm just like, see, you can't answer like a direct question, because that whatever you think or whatever you feel is going to contradict whatever you just said.
We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh, Hendricks, and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized.
Now, for you guys wanting to know what that word was, what he said, think of the N-word mixed with wizardry. So he just put them both together. That was what he said. So let's go back. I believe Myron wants to make merch of this, which is systemic. Hold on, let's go back. Let me hear it. Let's hear it again.
Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh, Hendricks, and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized.
So systemic organized wizardry. That's basically, he wants to basically make merch of that. It's called SON, which I don't know. He said it on his podcast that he wants to probably make merch of that. He's like, I coined the term. I think we can get some t-shirts and hats and stuff made of that. I'm like, okay, yeah.
What I mean by that,
sure. Maybe somebody will buy it. Maybe you'll make some money off of it from people that are like, oh, look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. You can't even say that he's self-hating, because Myron doesn't really identify himself as black. He's only identifies himself as black when it's convenient. He'll say, oh, if I get pulled over by the cops and stuff, they won't care that I am Sudanese and stuff. I'm just a black guy to them. When, as far as like, as a community, like he's not part of that community. He doesn't know anything about like the struggles of black people. It's like he's just so far removed because of his upbringing, and then in his later years when he was in college and stuff like that, he was completely out of that community. He was just hanging around with white guys. So, I mean, that's for him to be able to be in this conversation on this panel, like speaking about it. It's just like, I don't even know why he's here, to be completely honest with you. Coke Manny came back. He's like, that's true, Camp. You really do get along with everyone, and you're a super friendly guy, kind of like Capybara. You're a Campy Bear. I don't know who that is. I might have to look it up later. But I would say, it just comes from my time of, waiting tables. It's like you encounter a lot of people, a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures, and you gotta basically treat everybody the same, dude. And even when I was going up in school and stuff, like I had all types of friends, and it's just it is easy to just be easy with people, man. It's like your life, you can only limit your life so much, man, but you want to limit your life by not hanging around with certain groups of people. It's like that's your choice. But I think we can learn a lot from one another. And you take a little bit from everybody else, and in terms of their intelligence and stuff, and just learning about other people's way of life and stuff. It's just like, man, it's like, why would you limit yourself? It's like, oh, I only read pop-up books. It's like, there's a lot more books in the library, bro. But there's some people that they literally never get out. They never get out, man. They're in their little circle, and they don't really they're comfortable being in that little tight-knit circle, and they get to be as comfortable as they want. But I don't know, I think there is something to that whole saying of you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's how growth happens. Cook Benny came back. He said the capybara is a South American mammal that is mostly known for being friendly and getting along with a lot of animals. Oh, okay. I think I might have seen one of those. But okay. Capybara.
This is for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result, when in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence.
Yeah, but you also need to take into account that there are police that are explicitly more aggressive with black people than white people. I mean, and also vice versa. I would say that there are black cops that are probably just as aggressive with white people as they are with black people. I think I've said this before, man. I mean, in terms of my experience with cops, white cops are generally more easygoing when you approach them with a non-threatening demeanor. If you come at a cop with attitude, yeah, he's going to reflect it back to you. But if you are cordial with the police officer that pulls you over, you might be all right. He might just let you off with a warning. Whereas there's people that have chips on their shoulder. And yeah, maybe it's the end of the month, and maybe they just need to get this person. They need a couple tickets because they haven't had they haven't written any tickets throughout the entire month. So you're the lucky winner. So there's really nothing you can do to get out of it, and it is what it is. You got to take your L's when you can take them. But as far as dealing with cops, whether you're a black guy or a white guy, if you approach it in a very respectful, polite way, you're going to see that cops they're not going to freaking mess with you unless the car smells like weed, or you were driving recklessly, or or you got an attitude, or you smell like alcohol. I mean, I think they get the guys that need to be got. Whereas, people that maybe might have maybe merged over in a lane that they weren't supposed to go, or maybe we were going 15 miles over, they let them off with a warning, because they were polite. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. They had some remorse. Some people, the hardest thing for them is to say sorry. It's just like, well, that's why your life is hard, man, because you don't take any accountability.
Black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality, or, oh, it's all so messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now,
I think the whole calling white people crackers thing is that I think white people don't take offense to it, so it actually has no power. You've never heard a white person complaining that they got called a cracker. It doesn't. I don't even think it brings a tear to their eye. I don't think it even registers with their soul that they were even. They just kind of laugh it off. They're like, okay, I'm a cracker, whatever. Whereas, yeah, I mean, the N-word really triggers a lot of people, man. It really does, and it just hits you, and people, they don't know how to act, but. Yeah, I don't think cracker has the same amount of force as the N-word does. And I think that's why it just kind of rolls off people for the most part. I mean, you could say anything, oh, this white person smells like a wet dog, or, this Asian person doesn't know how to drive, or whatever. And it's not really, these are all things that people can either laugh at, but most people don't take offense to it. They're just like, oh, you're just making a dumb joke. And but people, there's that small percentage of people that just anything that you say to them, man, they just get they flip out, they crash out, and no, you will respect me kind of bullshit.
Look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but For literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but just to be clear,
So Myron is tired of BLM. He's like, we, as in the white people, are all tired of it. So I guess we know what side Myron's on.
you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the N-word at black people with impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no.
Myron's not going to have any problem with that, but he's not going to answer that question directly. He's gonna go to the amendments and stuff. He's going to be like, it's her constitutional right.
No problem with that.
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment and freedom of speech overrides my personal feelings. She has the right to say
That's
it.
fine. You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are irrelevant. The Constitution.
Yeah, see, Myron, he's so good at like sidestepping questions. It's like, dude, just take a stance on something and don't like remove yourself from it because you're like, oh no, I stand with the Constitution. So it's like my feelings on the whole matter they pale in comparison. That's just, it's such a cop out answer.
Constitution is the Constitution. That's what matters.
Oh, that's fascinating. Hold on. So when it comes to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say,
Myron can do that all day. He's like, black people, they steal. He can say all this stuff like they're the ones that, you know, are robbing stores. You know, they're listening to all the hip hop music and whatever and robbing stores and da 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 da. He can say all this stuff all day, but then when it comes to like, you know, well, when it comes to white people, it's like, well, they have a constitutional right, you know, to say the N-word, whatever. So it's like I don't know. He just doesn't have the same energy for white people because he's all about defending them, man. He wants to be white so bad, you know. But sorry, Myron.
About their moral claims about the racist system, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do, but when it comes to this woman saying the N-word, and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word, now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous. And it's as the only black American up here, that's quite frustrating to hear.
Here's the thing. If you want to be soft and get offended by that, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
Myron is such a freaking high school bully, man. He doesn't even like that whole like mindset of like, well, if you're going to be bothered by it, then that's your problem. It's like, you got to understand that the language was aimed at a kid who was too young to defend himself. Do you think that's right? You know, it's like, I think you'd be hard pressed to get a solid answer out of Myron about that whole situation. Probably like, oh, I don't agree with it. But no, like, do you think it's right? You know, it's like, he's just gonna be like, I don't agree with it. Just say yes or no. Like, no, it's not right. It shouldn't have happened. But Myron, he has to do this little dance, man, where he can't give you the satisfaction of a solid answer. He just won't do it.
Let me ask Ricky. Let me ask Ricky. Ricky,
this isn't about being soft any more than when you were desperately saving these white people.
Hold on. This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
It's not about being sensitive. It's about I didn't articulate. Hold on. Let me finish, Myron. Let me speak and then I'll let you respond. Myron, sure. I didn't articulate any sensitivity here. What I said, in the same way that you levied a judgment against black people, I'm levying one against the claims you're making. I'm no more sensitive than you were when you made your claim. I'm simply saying I disagree with you. And to immediately jump to you're being sensitive is just a distraction. I'm making an argument here. Just respond to my argument.
Yeah, I agree with what Lamar just said. That is, you know, and that's another thing. Myron will never attack the arguments. He'll resort to name calling. He'll resort to the ad hominems. You know. Let's skip past this little ad here.
Now, and my argument to respond to that is this: political correctness, liberalism, and making sure that we are politically correct and don't use certain words could offend people is precisely why we're in the situation that we're in. For decades, we've had to literally tiptoe around saying certain things around certain people, while the other group of people has been able to have impunity and be able to be as racist.
I want you guys to listen to how Myron is framing this entire sentence. How we had to tiptoe around certain people. Now, is he talking about black people there? I think in Myron's mind, he's not talking about black people there. He's talking about the Jays right now. That's who he's talking about. But what he's also saying could relate to how white people have to tiptoe around black people, and they can't use certain language and stuff. They can't normally say what they would normally say. But yeah, Myron, man, he thinks he's white, bro. Straight up.
Racist they want to be, as violent as they want to be, without any type of consequence. And if you call it out, you're labeled a racist. The reality is this. Black people don't want to live around black people. I don't want to live around a bunch of black people. I move to neighborhoods where it's majority white because I know I'm safe. Now, this is uncomfortable reality that no one wants to say, so I'll say it for them. Black people commit a lot of crimes. A majority of the violent crime committed in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not wanting to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh, etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time because of what I said before, systemic, organized, where they don't take accountability for their decisions.
Let me bring in...
Well, Myron is such a good little boy, man. He's such a good little boy for these white supremacists, man. They're just like, yeah, we love that this guy is shielding us. He's basically saying everything so we don't have to say anything. And he can take the full brunt of the criticism when, you know, it's like, Myron, do you realize that you're being used as a tool? You know, like the fact that you have these views already like embedded in you, that you already have like this hatred and stuff. It's easy for you to take this position where, as you know, someone who probably has like a moral compass would be like, yeah, you know, I think it was wrong what the woman did to the kid. And I think the whole Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony thing, I don't think that was a racial thing. I think it's just outside people making it a racial thing. And he can't say that, though. He's gonna be like, no, it's like, you know, basically black people are going to be violent. They're going to steal. They're going to cheat. They're going to do whatever they can. And you just got to stay away from them. You know, he's like, I stay away from them. That's what it's just, man. It's like, man, it's crazy that Myron has like all these people that back him for his views. I said this before. I was like, dude, if Myron wasn't racist, man, like that's like the biggest problem with him, you know, like besides the whole the way he views women and stuff and relationships and everything, like, yeah, that's messed up too. But like, if Myron wasn't racist, he might be all right, you know, but it's unfortunate. Cook Benny says, this reminds me of the time when Myron was pivoting with eventual warlord, saying he can't give his opinion on Tristan Tate because he doesn't know who the baby mama is. Yeah, he has to know all the facts. And, you know, once he got those facts from eventual warlord, he was just like, who is that? So it didn't matter. It didn't matter what facts he had. He's still going to play this like mental gymnastics of like, well, you know, like, he was my friend, so, you know, I don't have to agree with what he does to be loyal to him. And it's just like, okay, well, when you have that framework, it doesn't matter what he does then. He could be the rapist, you know, he could come out and they have the videos and everything like that, and he gets convicted, and Myron will still be like, look, I will go to jail with him because I still believe that he's innocent. And, you know, maybe the ulterior motives of going to jail with Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are, you know, a little bit deeper than we thought. It's not deeper than loyalty. It's more of a like, no, I want to wash Andrew Tate's underwear. I want to be his bottom bunk. I want to basically, you know, Angie who? Cavos came back. He's like, I miss when Myron was just debating women on dating. He actually saddens me. I used to look up to him. I mean, this is the whole, you know, living long enough to become the villain arc that he's on right now. And, you know, ever since he leaned into this, you know, political grift, it's been just like, say anything to get clicks. And, you know, before he was doing this, what was he doing? He was going on OnlyFans pages for girls and stuff, and or girls that were on X and stuff, and just being like bimbo, you know, just trying to rage bait. And so, I mean, this is just a natural progression of things, the way that he has ended up here. And actually, there's more. He's now gone into a more religious grift now. That we're going to cover it later. But I saw some stuff right before I got off of work, and I was like, oh, shit, this is like his new thing now. He's going to start talking about, he was talking about atheists and how people that are atheists are stupid. and because they have no morality and stuff. And I was just like, oh shit, like this is crazy. I would have never thought I heard Myron say this, because he proclaimed that Fresh and Fit is a secular podcast, and he's like, I'm not the greatest Muslim, Fresh is not the greatest Christian, but now he's just like, yo, if you're an atheist, or even if you're agnostic, you're an atheist as well. You don't have the balls to call yourself an atheist. He's like, yeah, he's like, all atheists are stupid. He said that, and I was like, what about your friend Destiny though? Like, I thought you loved him. Like, what's going on? So, yeah. But yeah, let's keep going.
Ricky to respond. Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that I agree that virtue signaling went too far, that political correctness went too far, but we're going from virtue signaling being the norm and being praised to now vice signaling being the norm and being praised. It's not just a matter of, does this woman have the right to use that word? I believe that she has the right. I disagree with it. But is she now being rewarded with $500,000? Why are we rewarding people for performing vice instead of virtue? This is not healthy. This is destructive to our society. This is destructive to our social fabric, to our culture, to our ability to live with other fellow Americans. It's gross to reward someone for bad behavior. It's one thing to tolerate it, to say that she has the right to do it, but she called an autistic 5-year-old the N-word. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like we're kind of like missing the point in the actual context. You can say that it's part of this bigger meta story of black and white America, but it actually is just like a short little clip, and you don't even know the context of it, and it's actually gross. And if we can't just say that it's gross and bad, then I don't really know where we are.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that Lily Gaddis, you retweeted Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist, by saying he said black people just raised $500,000 for a cold-blooded killer who stabbed a white teenager to death. So I don't want to hear one word about the Shiloh Hendricks fundraiser. Either everyone gets to be tribal or nobody does. Why would you retweet that?
Because I agree with it. Because we have to fight fire with fire. I mean, it's some
Myron, he wasn't talking to you. I'm sure you retweeted it too, because we all know Nick is your boy as well.
point. Why are
nobody does?
Why are Jewish people allowed to be tribal? Why are black people allowed to be tribal? But as soon as white people stand up for themselves, we're labeled a racist. And by the way, you call people racist when you want them to stop talking about things.
No, I called you a racist because you admitted you were racist. Hang on.
Yeah, but you can't insult a racist by calling them a racist. You know that, right? It's just like, okay.
Hang on. I called, just to be clear, I called you a racist because you openly, proudly admitted you're a racist. So it wasn't a question of exposing you or pointing my finger or trying to get this out of you. You proudly sat there, bold as brass, and said, yeah, I use the N-word all the time against black people. I'm a racist and I'm proud of it. That's what you did.
Racism is just having a preference. I prefer not to live around black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by black people. Where in my country, you can have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I prefer that. That's a preference. Now, what a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see anyone as less human. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N-word in relation to them, a word that you know causes that community unbelievable offense.
My fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
That's mind-boggling to me for multiple reasons. I mean, we're talking about bad behavior. You know, we've never lynched you, we've never enslaved you, we've never done any of the deep-seated structural forms of injustice to white people.
But you can't discount the what's it called, the robberies and the looting and all that stuff. You can't turn a blind eye to that. So it's just like, yeah, you guys aren't systematically racism, doing the racism to her, but the whole riots and stuff like that is something. And yeah, whether you're in a bad neighborhood or not. I mean, I'm sure Piers Morgan wouldn't want to move to like a bad neighborhood. I mean, he's in England, but I'm sure there are bad neighborhoods as well. But, and you know, you got to worry about knives in England too. But I'm sure he wouldn't want to live in a ghetto either. So this whole like moral grandstanding of like, you know, this person, Lily Gaddis, has said like, I don't want to live around black people. Myron has also said, I don't want to live around black people. That's their perspective. You know, you can't hate them for that. You know, it's just like that is their choice of what they want to do, you know? But I think nobody wants to live in poor conditions. If they're not saying that, you know, there are very wealthy neighborhoods as well that are predominantly black as well. You know, especially out in Atlanta, there's plenty of black excellence out here that are really changing the narrative of a predominantly black neighborhood. You know, very wealthy and very well-to-do and stuff. So, it is. It all goes back to limited thinking. You know, it's like, yeah, you guys, you see a side of the world and you just think the entire world is like that when it's not. You know, you just kind of have to get out your head and travel a little bit more.
That white people have done to black people. And
Kava says, LOL, I just saw the clip on Reddit of Myron chimping out, and I hope you react to it later. I think I know which one you're talking about. Yes, yeah, the one I was mentioning earlier. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about it.
And yet, to claim some kind of moral superiority in the midst of, and again, in the context of a conversation where a white woman is calling a 5-year-old autistic child the N-word, and we're talking about black people's bad behavior, this is absurd. And the idea of fighting fire with fire, again, is a dishonest argument. Just to take us back to the point here, the people who are supporting Carmelo Anthony's campaign believe that he was wrongfully charged, and they're trying to get him legal defense. The people who are defending this woman are saying, yes, we know you called the 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word, and we want more of it. We approve of it. We support it. These are not the same thing. And it's bonkers to me that we couldn't all stand and say, hey, it is wrong to call a 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word. I mean, Myron, let me just...
And it's also wrong to bring a knife to a track meet. I mean, the thing is, we can't say one without the other, you know? And no weapons in school. You know, we already have that as a rule, and that rule was broken. So, I mean, that has to count for something. We can't say, oh, it was defense. Well, I mean, last time I checked, if you want to defend yourself, you put your knuckles up, you know, and you defend yourself that way. You know, you don't have this advantage of a knife or a gun or something. I mean, okay, so what if things played out the exact same way where Carmelo Anthony had the knife? Well, what if the Metcalf kid had a gun? You know? Yeah, it wouldn't have been fair. But it's not fair if one person has a weapon and one other person doesn't have a weapon. So I don't know, man. The whole fact that he brought a knife to a freaking track meet, I'm just like, yeah, I if I knew more of the context, I still think that what he did was wrong. You know, I don't think it should have come to that. I don't think, I mean, even if someone told you, hey, you shouldn't be here, and because you have that knife, you have that confidence that, oh, I can say this stuff. Like I can tell you, oh, make me whatever. So then the guy comes over to you not knowing that you have a knife, you know, and then he finds out. By the time he finds out, it's too late. Where it's like, yeah, man, it's like he made the choice. He made a bad choice. And I don't think that, I mean, yeah, the whole fact that people are supporting Carmelo Anthony, whatever, trying to raise money for a legal defense and stuff like that. I hope he gets his fair day in court. I hope all the facts come forward and, you know, it gets dealt that way. But, you know, at the end of the day, a kid is dead. A kid is dead, and too soon. Too soon, in my opinion. I think it's a matter of kids like so quick to just grab a weapon and not want to actually like duke it out, you know? Because I mean, I think it would have been settled. You typically, after you like fight somebody, like fist fight and stuff like that, that's it. You know, it either gets broken up or you gas out and it's done, you know? One person beats up the other guy and that's it. But now,
just ask you that question. I think this is a yes or no question. correct me if I'm wrong, do you think the woman was wrong to do what she did to that child in that park?
Direct question to Myron. This is a direct question. Let's see how he answers it.
I don't approve of that, but what I will say is that
Okay, you don't approve of it. Okay. That was a yes or no. Not approving of it. Okay. I guess we'll accept that as a no, she wasn't right undoing it.
it's very important to understand the entire context of what led us to this position, because again, Metcalf and Hendricks is a microcosm of a much larger problem.
God, I hate when he repeats himself. Like, can you just like, I mean, I wish Myron would just like stop talking in talking points and just focus on the actual argument itself.
Earlier, we were talking about tribalism when you were mentioning Nick Fuentes' tweet. Here's the thing. Black people could be as tribal as they want to be. You have people like Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Umar Johnson running around about black power and marry black women and keep it in the hood and all this other stuff. But if white people assemble and say, you know what, white power, we need to keep our nation white, they're immediately ostracized and labeled as supremacists, and they get banned off every single platform. I find that interesting. And matter of fact, you went ahead and
the same thing.
No, actually, it is the same thing, because here's the problem with black people.
No, it's not.
Here we go. Here's the problem with black people. Let's hear it, Myron.
Hold on, let me finish this. Black people practice the very racism they cry about. You guys can gather together and say Black Lives Matter, Black Power, but if white people get together and say white power, gather together, they're considered white supremacists and they get banned off every single platform. Why is that Jared Taylor and Nick Fuentes are banned off every platform for practicing white nationalism, but black people are allowed to stand every single platform getting interviews on a Breakfast Club? Explain that to me. There's a two-tier situation here where black people are able to benefit off of being racist while whites are not. And what we're dealing with right now in America is literally a backlash to this black supremacy has been able to run around unchecked for a long time, and no one has the balls to call it out. Here's the other thing I want to say. Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks and saying the N-word.
Hey, can I respond to the point you just made, though?
No, hold on. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear it about, she made $100,000 because she said the N-word. Who cares? They destroyed billions of dollars of structure because someone got killed who was a criminal. That's the problem in America. You guys get a privilege that no one else gets to enjoy. You could be racist.
Okay.
And
all right, I have to hang on. I've got to hold it there. We've got another guest joining us. Mark, I'll come back to you to respond to that in a moment. But we've been joined now by Jacob Wells. He's the Christian founder of the Give, Send, Go donation site. That both.
This guy right here looks like he's been to a couple meetings, if you know what I mean. Sheesh.
Campaigns have been hosted on. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, Mr. Wells. First of all, your reaction to what seems to me to be a blatant hijacking of both of these fundraising host sites for different reasons, but definitely been hijacked by people for racist motivation.
No, I think that's completely correct, Piers. I do think that there was an element here that did hijack, that came at this and really became a racist, tribalist element between the two campaigns. Independently of themselves, I think that they would have existed on our platform in a whole different manner, but because of the narratives around them and the proximity to each other, they created a life of their own, and it is unfortunate. It's sad to see, because as a Christian myself, what I respect about humanity and the image of God on us, I believe that we're all valuable. I believe that people have dignity and worth, and we want to see that upheld for people, even in difficult moments. That's why our platform exists, is to share hope with people. And it's been a difficult week, several weeks of just navigating the complexity of these situations as a platform.
I think if you have this Give, Send, Go campaign, whatever, gifting for, gifting money and stuff like that to people, what causes and everything, I think you have to go through the approval process of saying, okay, we can host this campaign on our site because we believe in the cause. Okay. The whole thing with Shiloh Hendricks and, calling the person in the N-word or whatever, that went viral. They should have the people, I guess, that work at Give, Send, Go to do their research and stuff and see, okay, do we want to host a campaign for a woman who called a kid an N-word and now she's suffering all this backlash or whatever? It's should she be held accountable for the situation that she has put herself in? or should we just turn the other cheek and let her just get all this money and stuff? It's like, I think they have an approval process. They should be able to approve campaigns or not. And then the whole Austin Metcalf thing with Carmelo Anthony, it's like whether they wanted to. I mean, the way that they approached it was like, we're trying to raise money for a legal defense because, we believe that he is innocent. It's like, I can see how they can, like, whether they looked into it or not. They're like, okay, well, everybody in this world is considered innocent until proven guilty. So I can kind of see them approving the whole Carmelo Anthony campaign, but then the Shiloh one, I think that would be an easy, like, okay, we're not going to approve this, but they can't just let everybody, do a campaign. But I think it's just like, no, they're getting money for this. The Give, Send, Go, they're getting a percentage of the money that's being donated to Shiloh Hendricks. So it's just like, hey, let's just let it roll. We're getting money, So ultimately, yeah, they can have this whole like Christian mindset and stuff like that. Everybody has value and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's just like they got to turn a profit too. So, I mean, they have these campaigns that are blowing up. They're being very viral. It's very good for them. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about money at the end of the day. It's not about like, should we approve this campaign or not? Well, we're getting a lot of money on the back end for it.
Studies show that strength training burns more fat than cardio alone. It's critical for maintaining muscle mass and bone density. And use promo code Piers, P-I-S, get jacked up. Shut. This is a woman on camera repeatedly using the N-word. First of all, with a 5-year-old autistic child, it seems. Then an adult who's filming her doesn't care, is blatantly racist. Why should someone like that be allowed to raise any money on your site if, as you say, you are driven by a Christian purpose?
Well, that's
kind of the question I asked. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It seems like that he would have the ability to whether to approve the campaign or deny it. But again, I think it comes down to money. That's why they approved it.
That's a fascinating question. I would almost flip it around. It's like if we tried to create litmus tests for everybody to come onto a platform to use it, I pretty much could guarantee nobody would pass the litmus test, because the reality of humanity is that we're broken. This was the whole principle of Jesus in the first place, is that we needed a savior, and that's what he came for.
So just to be clear, then,
down the road.
Hang on, just to be clear, so that's interesting what you just said. So you would let anybody onto your platform to raise money for anything? Is that your position?
I think not for anything. I think if it's like for abortions, and I think maybe to hurt children or something like that, I think they're like against it from what I've researched about them.
No, the position is that there are laws that define what is legal and what isn't legal, and we adhere to the laws as the framework for what is and isn't allowed.
But inciting racial hatred is a crime, right?
Inciting racial hatred is a crime?
Yeah.
Where?
You don't think it's a crime?
In the U.S.?
Yeah, it is.
I've never seen that as a law on the books, but
it is.
That was part of the reason.
I'm not even American, and I know it's a law on the books. You're not allowed to incite racial hatred or violence against ethnic groups based on their ethnicity. What could be a more glaring example than someone on camera calling black people the N-word?
Violence and words are two different things, and we do make a distinction of that in America. They are very clearly different things. I don't know of any law. I'd be happy for you to inform me with what that law is, because I don't know everything. I'm happy to admit that. But as has already been mentioned on the show earlier, there are needs that exist outside of the reality of that moment for Shiloh. I don't condone the behavior. Obviously, we didn't see the actual behavior that was accused in the moment. What we saw was the aftermath of a kind of baited moment. Yeah,
but she carries on using the N-word to a black person with impunity. That's a racist.
I mean, the guy in the video told her to say it again, to say it with her chest, basically, and she obliged. Whereas I think if the guy chose his words more wisely and didn't say that, he could have just said, "What did you say? What did you say? What did you call him?" And let her say it on his own. But it's like he kind of egged her on,
Yeah, well, she might have some racial elements. I don't know. I don't know Shiloh
Some
personally.
racial elements. She
know.
uses the N-word repeatedly to a black man, and she doesn't deny having just used it to a 5-year-old black child. I'm not sure what more evidence you need that this person's a racist. And my question for you is simply, where is that line for you? You say it's the law.
Well,
But if someone is literally raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to support them because they were blatantly racist, I'm just curious how that fits with the Christian ethos of what your site's supposed to be about.
Well, it fits actually very well because we can, like I started to say, we don't operate on a litmus test of your past behaviors as far as the services that you get to provide. The moment that you start walking down the narrative that we're not going to provide you electricity, water, because we don't like you, the structural elements, the movement of money, which is a basic element to society.
So let me just ask you this. So if someone was being blatantly anti-Semitic, for example, right, would you allow them to raise money on your platform to defend themselves over their anti-Semitism?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one because if two things could happen. You say no, then he looks like a hypocrite. He says yes, oof, he gets shut down by the ADL. So he's got to be very careful how he answers this question. Oof.
We sit in a very interesting position as a platform in trying to navigate the complexities of these issues.
Yeah, so what's the answer, though? What's the answer?
You can say things. Well, I'll say historically, we've stood on that principle of saying we're going to allow things that we disagree with.
Okay.
And we've allowed things that we completely disagree with.
Do you allow
on the
people
platform.
to do
But our
pro-abortion?
mission-
Do you allow pro-abortion fundraising?
Actually, there's two caveats to what Give, Send, Go has carved out, and one of them is it's broken into two pieces, but it's the protection of children. So we say we're going to protect children because they don't have a voice. So we're not going to allow fundraising for abortions on Give, Send, Go, and we're not going to allow fundraising for the transition of children.
Okay, but what about?
Yeah, what about the protection of children that are being levied hate against? That are being discriminated against. What about that protection? That's probably what naturally what Piers is probably going to ask him. But yeah, it just seems that a child who can't defend themselves was put in this situation. And yeah, maybe he did put himself in that situation by going in the bag and getting stuff like that. Maybe the argument should have been directed towards the man that was watching the child rather than the child himself. Sure. But it didn't pan out that way. But I'm sure this is what Piers is going to say. He's pretty much going to ask him that question.
What about a 5-year-old child being? What about a 5-year-old black child being called the N-word?
What about that?
Where does the protection for that child come in?
Well, that's their parents' responsibility. That's like if my child, and I have several children, if my child was called something bad, I would take my child aside and I would tell them.
But you just said that one of the caveats.
Hang on,
you just said one of the caveats for Give, Send, Go is
the protection of children, and he's gonna be like, "Well, can you protect your children against racism?"
The protection of children. You talked about the transitioning process. You talked about abortion, which is obviously your Christian perspective on that. And I'm simply saying, why doesn't it include children being racially abused? Why is that suddenly the parents' responsibility, not yours as a platform?
No, because
where
there are
literally
exist on Give,
you are
Send,
going to
Go.
make well, look, let me just spell it out to you. The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child. And if your caveats are for
that's
protection,
incorrect.
Well, hang on. Well, you are.
No, I'm not. Because one, we're a platform. We don't make donations to these campaigns. These are individuals that are making donations.
This person will
of their
become
own
a millionaire
volition. This is
because
not
of your
Give, Send-
platform.
No, it's not because of our platform. They could send checks and they could send money a million different ways to individuals.
But they're using your platform,
avenues.
And you've already said to me you carve out things because you want to protect children. I'm just curious, why is racially abusing a child not one of your carve-outs?
Well, what the campaign is fundraising for. So we have to make a distinction between.
I guess the whole mindset of it is that they think of it like, okay, well, you should be able to withstand any type of racially charged comments towards yourself. You know, children. Yeah, it makes sense that children probably don't have a voice in being able to defend themselves. So it does fall back on the parents. But it's a very nuanced situation. It seems like it's just, what's that old saying that we all heard as kids, whatever words you say, they bounce off of me and stick onto you. It's like, I still remember that as a kid. And it's like, I still kind of carry that into my adulthood, that there's really nothing anybody can say, whether it's racial or not, to me, and it will bother me. It just doesn't happen. It's like you just develop a tough skin over time. And I think as long as you don't get bothered by words, nothing can really hurt you, in terms of speech. But I think that's kind of, I kind of understand why he wouldn't want to cancel a campaign over something like that. That kind of makes, now that I'm listening to this, it makes a little bit more sense now.
What happens on Give, Send, Go, and then what happens outside of Give, Send, Go. Because we can't police everything that happens outside of Give, Send, Go. All that we can police is what happens on Give, Send, Go. So the two instances that I gave were about campaigns that if they were created on Give, Send, Go, that we would, for those scenarios, we would prevent. But things that happen outside of Give, Send, Go, we can't police around. So does someone have the right to raise funds for their security, for their protection, because they've been doxxed, because of a snapshot moment, because everyone has a camera in their pocket? And today, we can see the outworking of this. 3 years ago in New York City, in the middle of the city, there was an altercation between a woman and a black man over bird watching and dogs, and her name was Amy Cooper. And to this day, 3 years later, she hasn't been able to find a job. Because she made a bad mistake, saying the wrong thing in a particular moment where a camera was pulled out.
She racially abused him. If you racially abuse people, you are made accountable for your actions.
So for the rest of your life, the rest of your life, you're shut off from society.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences, probably for your professional life, for the rest of your professional life.
We understand that there are consequences. Yeah. I understand there's consequences. What I'm saying is what you're advocating for, it seems, is that for the rest of Shiloh's life, she should be pushed into the recesses of society, and that she should not have a voice, that she should be canceled and silenced. This is what drives people to suicide. And it's this cancel culture mantra that thinks that the best way forward as a society is to cancel them rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation. And for Give, Send, Go, our purpose and our hope is not that we agree with every single campaign. It's why we started a prayer team at Give, Send, Go. We actually call every campaign owner and we pray with them, and we actually talk them back from the ideological edges that they find themselves in by saying, you know what, there's a God that loves you. You don't need to get into this tribal space. You need to focus on rebuilding that relationship with him, because that's the fabric for a principled and moral nation.
Here's the flaw with Shiloh. Here's the flaw with Shiloh Hendricks. She, in her message left on the donation site, it goes on, sentence after sentence, playing the victim. She never once mentions that she repeatedly used the N-word. It doesn't exist in her description of the victimhood statement she puts out there. So it's incredibly disingenuous because people who read that will not realize, if they don't know the story, that she racially abused a child and then an adult in a most horrific manner.
I'm pretty sure anybody that sees the campaign already knows about how she even came about this campaign. So I don't think there are people that are on Gifts and Go that are completely shut off from the entire world or the internet and don't know what's going on. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the whole story is pretty viral right now. So I don't think that anybody's just blindly donating to her and not knowing the entire situation. You know, the ones that are doing it, they know the situation and they're making that choice anyway.
And I'm curious for you as a company, you take, I believe, tips and donations from each of the donations that come in. Is that how the system works?
The system works on voluntary donations.
Okay.
So the only thing that we receive
just
as
out of
revenue
interest, of the $600,000 plus that have now been raised for her, how much have you guys made, Give, Send, Go, from that money? Presumably you know, right?
I actually don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, it's better to say you don't know than to actually give him a figure. It is a percentage, though. You know, it's the whole reason why they can even keep their whole site up and running and stuff is through taking a percentage of every tip and donation. It makes sense.
And kept track of what the donations to that campaign in particular to Give, Send,
But do you
Go
feel
are.
comfortable? You feel comfortable making money out of that?
What I feel comfortable doing is last week flying out to Detroit, Michigan, and stepping into somebody's brokenness who had a campaign on Give, Send, Go because their car was stolen and another car was in an accident and they found out that their 3-year-old had cancer.
Well, that's
and
a different story.
And bought them a
That's
new
a different story
car.
completely.
And it's a completely different story, but it's a reality of what we use the funds from Give, Send, Go for.
The bottom line is you're making, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe more, out of a particular part of your site that has been set up by a racist who was proudly racist on camera repeatedly. And you say you want to protect children, but the reason that she is so infamous is she originally, in that exchange, racially abused a child. And you might laugh and smirk and smile,
none of
but
us,
I don't find any of that funny.
You keep jumping. Yeah, I don't think it's funny either. You've put me in a position to try to defend Shiloh, which I have no defense for Shiloh. I don't defend calling a child something like that. What is very evident is that, one, we don't have video of her doing any of those things outside of the post video. So
where she literally uses the N-word repeatedly, and she doesn't deny using it against the child. In fact, she makes it clear she did do it because he was behaving like one, she said. So I don't know why you're being so mealy-mouthed about it. So the bottom line is she's obviously a nasty racist. She's proud of being a racist. She admitted being a racist, and we heard her being a racist. There is no doubt about what happened. What you're trying to do is cast a little bit of doubt, if you don't mind me saying, because it helps your corporate position, which is you're making a ton of money out of a racist who is going to be a millionaire.
The fact that he doesn't have all the facts, that's why he can have that doubt. Okay, because he doesn't know what happened before. All he has is that like 40-second clip of what happened after the fact. And that's what we all have. So, I mean, you kind of have to operate with, okay, we need to just hear what is put out there, you know? And the fact is, yeah, she did say it, but she didn't list it on the whole campaign. I know a lot of people that are against Shiloh Hendricks receiving this money have made their voices heard and in comments and stuff on the campaign. And now they've disabled comments altogether. So now people can just still donate, but you can no longer leave like a comment saying, you know, W racism or anything like that, you know, like it's now. That's how it should have been in the first place. I think that's kind of another reason. I mean, the fact that you could leave comments before, that was, it makes sense why they had that feature, but the reason why they took it away was because it became so racially charged.
Yeah, out of being a racist because of your platform.
If you think allowing this campaign helps our corporate position, come on, Piers.
You know what would help you corporately? If you were genuinely true to your mission statement as a Christian site that you want to protect children, and you were big on that at the start of this interview, I want to protect the kids, then you would remove her site immediately once you had established in your own brain that she'd racially abused a 5-year-old, which, by the way, she admits to doing, right? So you could just do that like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that, though. They're not going to do it because there's too much money coming in and they're getting a percentage, and it would be dumb to leave all that money on the table at the end of the day. I mean, call it under the table, bad Christian, whatever, but they're using those funds to help other people as well. So, Coke Manny came back. He says, the bald guy sounds like Rabbi Shmuley. Man, I haven't heard that name in a while, man. It's definitely been a long time since I've heard it. But I mean, like, I think like his whole perspective of just kind of being like removed from it, like you can't go in with any judgment if you don't have all the facts. I almost sound like Myron here, but like, yeah, if you don't have all the facts, then yeah, it's like you can't make a definitive judgment on something. Does he have the approval to just, shut the whole thing down, not release the funds, and just be like, yeah, well, now that we know a little bit more about your situation and how, you came about all of these donations and all this backing and stuff, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and shut it all down. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still probably going to keep, I mean, do they just refund all that money? No, they're probably not going to refund all that money. They're probably just going to like shut it down quietly and not make a big thing about it. That would probably be what they would do. And then they would probably get more backlash because people were like, wait a minute, that money was for her. And yeah, people are going to have a problem with it. So yeah, he's in a very precarious position in his company to have even accepted this campaign and for it going as far as it has.
No, we could do a lot of things, but in the country that we live in, there are certain fabric elements that make this America what it is, and they need to be defended. So
is free
just
speech
because
one
people
of them?
have upset feelings.
Free speech?
Free speech, freedom of expression.
Really? And yet, how odd? Because Mr. Wells, unless I'm mistaken, you have now removed the ability to comment and removed all the comments on this particular donation site, haven't you? Where's the free speech rights of those people who commented? Or are you just a hypocrite?
No, well, recognize what free speech is. Free speech is a prohibition against the government enacting laws to prohibit your speech.
You literally just made a speech talking about freedom of expression and free speech, but you've removed all the comments from here. Why are you suppressing and censoring people's right to free speech to comment on these sites?
We have, as a private business, the right to operate our business the way that we want to
have the
operate
right to suppress free speech. I don't dispute it. I'm just curious why you pretend to be this great defender of free speech when you're literally doing the opposite.
No, what we saw very clearly in this situation was a campaign for Carmelo Anthony, and on the back of it, a campaign for Shiloh, and they were competing off of each other, and they were in a cycle of vitriolic tornado of sorts, and we said we need to put some calming effect on this by removing the back and forth element that's going on in this particular situation. It wouldn't necessarily have happened if these campaigns were completely independent, months, years apart from each other.
But as a Christian, because I'm told that the Give, Send, Go site for Luigi Mangione, who we saw allegedly executing a healthcare boss in cold blood. I don't think there's much allegedly about it, but we'll let the process take its course. He's got nearly £1 million for his defence via your site. And, it's sort of odd, isn't it? Is it not an inconsistency in your Christian position on this? That on the one hand,
it shows your lack of understanding what Christian faith actually
Let me ask you the question. On the one hand, if you want anything pro-abortion on your site, that's a no-no because you're all pro-life. And yet, on the other hand, you're helping a bunch of alleged murderers raise millions. Do you not see an inconsistency with your Christian hat on?
Well, it just actually goes to the shallow misconception of Christianity that you have, and I would implore you, Piers, to go after reading the Bible for what it says. That the number one critique of
Thou
Jesus
shalt not kill
by the religious
is ringing
leaders,
quite loud in my head.
The number one critique of Jesus by the religious leaders of the day was that he hung around with the prostitutes, the drunkards, and the sinners. He was the guy that went to the lowliest of low places, and he actually shared hope in the midst of the worst places. We find ourselves in a very similar situation, and our goal at Give, Send, Go is to share hope to people in the midst, and part of that is navigating how we do it. We have a prayer team that calls people and prays with them, actually shows them that they're valuable. We have an initiative, like I was mentioning earlier.
All right, but look, the
Outrageous
bottom line,
Generosity,
the bottom
where we
line,
step
look, Mr.
into
Wells,
like-
I appreciate you coming on, but the bottom line is, the reality of the situation is that if you racially abuse a kid, you can become a millionaire on your site and you won't stop it happening. And if you kill somebody or allegedly kill somebody, you won't stop that happening either. But with your Christian hat on, if somebody wants to put anything up that's pro-abortion, whoa, not having that, Gov. And if you want to put a comment under one of these more contentious sites, your free speech rule immediately collapses.
Listen, I'm sorry, Piers, if you can't recognize that children don't have a voice and they should be protected.
What about the voice of this? What about the voice of
But
this little 5-year-old black kid? Where was his right not to be racially abused?
he doesn't have a campaign on Give, Send, Go. I would love to see a campaign for him on Give, Send, Go. He
Okay.
doesn't have a campaign on.
I think I might start the campaign for the 5-year-old kid on Give, Send, Go. I'll give the kid 5%. All right, he's 5 years old. I'll give him 5%.
Give, Send, Go. But to the deeper question of the other campaigns, if you think undermining the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law is a good position to take, well, so be it. That's why we find ourselves in the mess as a society that we have found ourselves in, is because people continue to undermine the principles that our country was founded upon for the sake of some type of social outrage, which apparently is what seems like you're parroting towards us.
Okay, let's just assume that the viewers can make their own minds up about who's parroting what here. But I appreciate you coming on, Mr. Wells. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Piers.
Okay, let's go back to the panel there. I mean, Ricky, it seemed to me a lot of inconsistencies in Mr. Wells's position, not least the donning of the Christian hat when it suits them, but then removing it when it doesn't.
You know, I think it's definitely tough to make the call here and there and where to censor. I err on the side of not censoring as much as possible, but I agree with you that the selectivity of having issues with abortion but not with these campaigns is certainly a problem. But I also want to go back to our point before, too, and make the point that I hate this argument that because some people were tribal, we should be tribal, too. And shouldn't we want to live in a society where we say tribalism is bad in general and negative in general, and so therefore we should be erring towards individualism and not fighting tribalism with more tribalism? I think that's a net negative.
I agree. Myron, your last words on this.
Okay. Because I never got to respond to Myron's other.
The thing with tribalism, it's a natural human instinct. Like, we are literally designed to want to be in communities and want to be a part of a set of community because it ensures our survival. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So the thing is,
That's rich coming from Myron, considering he does not hang around Sudanese people. He doesn't hang around, I mean, he hangs around, his crew at Fresh and Fit, and they're all their own little band of misfits and stuff. But in terms of like his background, yeah, I mean, his crew outside of the podcast, he surrounds himself with a lot of people with strong views on nationalism and just whether they believe in race mixing or not, or if I mean, honestly, I think Myron, the reason why he continues to like spew this type of like hatred that he has for the black community, I think the reason why he does it is just because he's far removed from it. He doesn't know anything about the struggles of it. He doesn't have like any type of like what's the word? He can't lose anything by doing that because he's not part of the community. So I think it's easy for him to pander to white supremacists and really kind of be like their conduit to basically voice all their talking points. Like, he's fine with that because he doesn't have any connection to the black community. It's easy for him.
that people are typically going to align with people that share similar features, and that's why we have the tribalism we have going on right now. So the problem is, it's not going to go anywhere. I think the problem is that we've had this penting up for literally decades, and this has been a response to it. You have people that are coming out and supporting someone who you guys might deem as a terrible racist, but I think it's also very important to understand how we got here, because if we're going to look at the smaller problem, we can't look at the bigger problem, and it's what I said before, unchecked systemic.
All right, Mark Lamont Hill, your last words on this.
This repeated use of the word, I think, first of all, I want to just register that as offensive, particularly as someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community and who is not, right? I think that's incredibly
I'm the definition of African-American. I'm the definition of African-American.
And troublesome, and to as a Sudanese American or an outsider who's using African American, the very technical term, the same way that Elon Musk is an African American, I think it is a bit disingenuous. But the bigger issue here, I think, is that this idea of equating of one side to the other side often loses track of this issue of power. To use his example, when Black people stand up and say, "Hey, let's build our own stuff. Hey, let's have a Black power movement," that is not the same as a white power. I'll let you speak uninterrupted. Let me finish, please, my Sudanese brother. So when a Black person says, "Hey, let's preserve our culture," I have no problem with Italians or Irish people or anyone else saying, "Let's preserve our culture." But when we don't talk about ethnicity, but actual race, and when white people say, "Let's preserve whiteness," it's an exclusionary practice. It's about preserving laws and practices and tactics that do harm to other people. A Black power movement was about opening stores and building businesses. A white power movement was a white power. That's the giga. A white power movement was about something very, 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 very different. A white power movement included lynchings and included Ku Klux Klan, etc. So let's not pretend that these are opposite sides of the same coin. When white people say, "Let's save our country," and even using the language of our country, when Black people built this thing, when you say that, you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing, just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic Black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that says exactly how they're not the same.
I totally agree. I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
God. I love how Piers Morgan just kind of loads up the entire aggressiveness against the person. We obviously know how Piers feels about her and stuff. So, and yeah, he can say whatever he wants because it's his show. But it just seems once he knows your position and he doesn't agree with it, he just railroads you to the end. And whether you get to speak or complete a thought, it's like he's already made up his mind, and now he's already using condemning type speech and stuff, which, it makes sense. That's why he's doing it. But it's like, man, damn, he really loads it up, doesn't he?
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed, and people say, "Oh, she doesn't need this money." Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, Black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on, then
have
say
it.
Oh, here comes the best part of the video. Coke Bay says, Pierce seems like he really wants an apology from her. Yeah, you know what? She's not going to get it, man. She's not going to give it to him because she is unapologetic in her views, bro. It's like, you can say whatever you want to her about it. And she's like, dude, yeah, that's it. I am what I am. And I'm not changed for anybody, you can't guilt me out of my position. Taking souls for free. What's up, my friend? Good to see you, man. Yo, what's up, Camp? Man, I'm glad you made it for this one, man. This is a good one. This is a good one. I didn't think that I didn't think I was going to take so long on this first clip, because I actually have 3 other clips loaded up, ready to go, because I wanted to get the other perspectives of this exact interview. But it just seems like we kind of got a lot of context here, in terms of, the Give Send Go campaign and like that whole, the guy that operates that and how, and if you were to look at it in a certain way, yeah, there's a lot of contradictory there. He's all about protecting the children, but then when you look at this situation with Shiloh Hendricks and how she, just berated this 5-year-old kid with, some racism and stuff, it's like that doesn't fall under it because he didn't get attacked. He was just called the N-word, and where's the line drawn? That's kind of like the thing. Taking Souls Free says she is the FE, a female version of Myron. Oh, absolutely, man. A woman after his own heart, and that's why I came up with a thumbnail the way I did, because it's just like, yeah, Myron, he's just like, yo, like I know you don't like N-words, whatever. I don't either. Maybe we can probably get some coffee or something. Go get some Chipotle. It just seems like, yeah, she definitely is. She's unapologetic. And I would not be surprised if she ends up on Fresh and Fit, not actually going on the show, because I'm sure she would never like enter in the same room as like any of those people, but I'm sure she would probably do like a side-by-side, like televised kind of interview thing, kind of how this is. She'd probably do it remotely, most likely. But yeah, I think in terms of like, she has respect, I believe, for Myron, because she has retweeted a couple of his things, and they seem to be aligned on a lot of their views, and Myron, he's more than happy to fall on the sword for her and the entire movement. So yeah, man, this is a Angie, watch out, okay? Lily Gaddis is in the building.
You will not have
Go on, say the M word. Go on.
No. Don't invite. No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't.
Look at Myron's face right now. Myron is just like, he's enjoying the hell out of this. And you know what? I saw I think it was the broadcast that Myron did on Myron Gaines X, and I don't think they show it here, but I will describe what happened. He played the monkey noises as this Lamar guy in the middle was, going in, explaining the monkey noises, and then he whipped out this gun that when you pull the trigger, it has the N-word on the little red flag, and he's pointing it right at Lamar. And I don't think I think they cut it out of this, but I remember I saw it on Myron's little podcast.
Don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and ask her to say the N-word while I'm
there.
It
is.
You would not say.
There it is. There it is. And I think they blurred it out. I'm like, wow, these guys are good, man. They were able to get it and stuff. But yeah, it says N-word on it, and I think it's unfortunate that we couldn't hear the monkey noises through Myron's microphone, because he definitely played it right then and there. And I was like, damn, dude. Like, for some reason, I was like, wow, he actually played the monkey noises on Piers Morgan, but it didn't come through, obviously, as we're listening to it right now. It didn't come through on the interview.
Sit here with
Taking Souls Free came back and said, oh, yeah, it was blurred. Yeah. And the thing that Myron kept saying, the system of, like, whatever, something, basically, I was saying, if you take the N-word and then you take the word wizardry and put them together, he kept saying that over and over, and that kept getting bleeped out. So people were just like, wow, Piers Morgan Uncensored is not really, it's very censored for the most part, Like, whenever Myron said cracker and stuff, that went through loud and clear. But then when he said, the N-word, whatever, of course it gets bleeped out. Makes sense.
A Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's racist. And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
Yeah. So, I guess my closing arguments about this whole thing is that, do I think Shiloh Hendricks should have gotten money, whatever, for calling a kid the N-word? No, I think the whole campaign should have been denied by the owner of Give Send Go. But the fact is, it didn't fall under the prerequisite of getting denied. So, and if people want to donate to her, that's their choice. Give Go has no control over what people want to do with their money. So, and it is what it is. So you can't do anything to stop it. It is what it is, man. And then as far as the Carmelo Anthony raising money for a legal fund and stuff, I think that whole thing, I think Carmelo Anthony shouldn't have brought the knife to the track meet. I think if he wanted to stand up for himself, he should have put his dukes up, and he wouldn't be in this position. But we can't go back. So I think he deserves the jail time. And yeah, if his family wants to start a campaign or a Give Go campaign so that he can have a solid legal defense, that's their prerogative. That's fine. But yeah, Hagen Souls Free came back. He says, I don't know you heard, but she ended up raising $750K to move out due to her safety. Never mind, you said that. Yeah, I did. I wanted to look it up for myself because I didn't. I remember when I looked at it the first time, it was at like 650K. But now, yeah, it's up another 100K after that. So yeah, 750, man. And I'm pretty sure like the campaign is going to keep going on and on. Like it's there's no limit to it. So, and I believe, the Carmelo Anthony is at like 500K. So like, $500,000, man. Not bad at all. So, going to our next video here, I wanted to, let's see. Well, hold on. Let's go to Reddit real quick. Cause I told Cabos I would go ahead and react to this, and it's short. We can go to it real quick, then we can get back on track. I don't want to divert too much. Oh geez, Fresh and whenever I see Fresh and Sneeko and I see that white shirt on Fresh, I'm just like, I already know about it. Let's keep going. Oh, I posted this for those of you that don't know about the whole skibbity thing. Let me find that first. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so for everybody in this audience that thinks Myron's smart, let's watch this real quick, and then I will find that clip of him chimping out. Okay, we're at 100. Let's make this to 300. Save it. And yeah, this is okay, so Myron thinks Skibbity, Ohio is a real place. This is who ninjas get their information from. I saw this, I was like, this is great. Let's listen.
Also, the town you mentioned, Skibbity, is it's a blue collar town. So.
Skibbity, Ohio is a blue collar town. Because yeah, according to Myron.
Fun fact.
What?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Let's go back. So this blonde chick is completely trolling Myron, and Myron is too autistic to realize. He can't read the room and understand that this is an obvious troll. Let's rewind it. Let's get the full context.
Also, the town you mentioned, Skibbity, is it's a blue collar town. So.
The girls get it. The girls are laughing at him like, what? Are you serious?
Fun fact.
What?
Yeah.
And Fresh is too retarded to know anything about any other place besides Miami or Dubai. You would never want to ask Fresh name 3 countries, because he'll just do a bunch of he'll do like 1 or 2 countries and like a city, because he's not that smart either. So he's not picking up on the whole Skibbity thing either.
No, yeah.
They all are.
Yeah, because when she said Netball Baby, I was like, that's impossible. She's from Skibbity, Ohio. So,
It's a real place.
It's a crazy name, by the way. Myron, you know Ohio?
Skibbity. I study a little bit because when I was looking at a JD Vance.
Yeah.
So, all right. What do you do? Oh yeah. So you do OF, and you said you do social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Give you.
What an idiot! What an idiot! Oh man, what was it? This can't be real. What the f? Born and raised in Skibbity, Ohio. Fresh is in there mapping out which escort he wants to smash after the show. Yeah, dude, exactly. Like, he's just like, I don't care. Skibbity, Ohio. Okay, that's probably a flyover area that I've never been to. Probably never will go. So of course I had to post something, as I do. I'll go and show you guys that real quick. And I said, for those of you who are wondering where Skibbity, Ohio is on a map, Oh man, I couldn't resist, man. I had to jump in on it because it was topical. I had to. All right,
I get that, bro. But
let
all
me.
I'm saying is low-key fresh.
Okay, this was the clip I was talking about earlier about Myron defending Fresh. I think this isn't the thing Kavos was talking about, but this is the thing I wanted to show you guys real quick. This is the hater that called in, which if I knew that there were call-ins, I would have watched it, but I'm pretty sure I was working at this time, so I didn't see it.
I get that, bro. But all I'm saying is low-key fresh doesn't have real motion like that or real risk, bro.
Does he
only
get
has it
bitches or
because
not?
of
If
his
he's going
status
on
now,
dates
bro.
with girls,
He pays for box. It's not the same. It's not the same, guys. Okay? The fact that okay. The fact that he pays for box, it doesn't count, okay? Anybody can pay for it. It's the fact is, does he have a mouthpiece to actually get a girl and not have to like lead with his wallet? No, he can't do it. He has to pull up in a Lambo. He has to act like, oh yeah, like I'll trick off and whatever. I'll take you shopping and stuff like that. And yeah, the girls will be like, sure, you know. But it's like, can he genuinely get a girl off of any type of banter and shit? Hell no.
all the fucking time before we got big and he had no problems. Then all of a sudden we get big and now niggas are harassing him. Does he get girls or not, bro? You can't have it both ways. Now it's he don't got motion. What the fuck are you talking about? He don't got motion. We're internationally known. You Google Fresh and Fit, there's a Wikipedia page. We're bigger than all the haters that talking shit about us. I've been on Piers Morgan multiple times. We're literally, you could Google our names and shit come up. I ran a book, Amazon bestseller. The fuck are you talking about? We don't
Yeah, I wrote a book too.
got motion, you fucking faggot. Literally, we cover everything.
Fresh, bro.
Politics, nigga, Fresh is me.
Oh, okay. So this is I think this is the chimp out video. Actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, he's definitely chimping out right here. Fresh is me. We are one. We are Ginyu brothers, okay? Ginyu Force.
I got motion, Fresh got.
Look at Fresh. Look at the Fresh of this whole thing. He has no energy for this hater at all. And of course, Myron coming to the rescue to save Fresh. It's like Fresh he's just waiting for it to be over.
Motion, so shut the fuck up. The fuck are you talking about?
Come on,
There's a
now.
reason
You
why
guys
I
are
wear
saying
Fresh
you
and
guys are
Fit.
both the same
Everywhere I
person?
go, you fucking retard.
Yep.
I wear.
Taking souls for free. Came back. He's like, why is he so passionate defending Fresh after you hurt Myron's image so many times, bro? You know, it's like, look, man, they're boys. You know, they started this podcast together, and they're gonna end it together. Okay, Fresh isn't going anywhere. You know, you guys don't know Fresh like I know Fresh. Okay, this is his business partner. You know, he's like no. He's like, Fresh does a lot. He does a lot behind the scenes, man. And you guys just don't appreciate it. You guys are ungrateful. It's like, dude, everything we've seen Fresh do has been shit. You know, Gary's podcast, because I don't even call it Fresh's podcast. It's Gary's podcast. He offers just as much value to that failing piece of shit that he does on Fresh and Fit. You know, when people are directing their hate towards Fresh, Myron's got to jump in and save him because Fresh can't defend himself, guys. He can't. Cabos, he says, no hate. No, I hate Mo glazing him up in the background, bro. That's what he does. Fresh needs a cheerleader, okay? That's just what it has to be like this because Fresh just can't. He doesn't have the ability. He's not a good debater. He's already said this. He's like, I can't debate. And, but Myron will definitely be the first one, and then he's the first line of defense. And then Mo, he's got to be the cheerleader in the background. Taking Souls for Free came back. He says, after reading your book, my understanding is that his stupidity is there to make Myron look good. Absolutely. It's like, okay, Fresh understands that he's not the smartest guy in the room. He understands that is not his forte. He has to say the dumb things in order to, garner the hate audience that can basically fuel Myron to counteract that. That is content for them. That gets ratings. People want to watch the hater shows. It is what it is, man. That stuff gets, people are entertained. People love just people roasting them. I enjoy it. I mean, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not as good. This one, I'm not really sure. Like, I think I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I've only seen this clip. I'm sure It could have been. I think the guy, he took a while to get to this point, because I think before he was just kind of like dancing around it a little bit. He wasn't being too direct, whatever. He kept saying the one phrase, in a way, like, or something like that. He wasn't really standing on business, you know. He wasn't just like straight to the point, you know, like, hey, this, and this. He just like took him like 20 minutes to get to this point, and Myron just got a little impatient with him, kept dropping the F-bomb on him. Takes Souls for Free came back. He says, on some level, this is how I know you don't watch the show, bro. So ultimately speaking, you're wrong. Why does Fresh always go to that? Why does he always say you don't watch the show? It's like, no, we obviously watch the show. That's why we have these arguments. That's how we can pick you apart, and that's how we know that you don't do shit. And it's like, it's evident. But we don't watch the show, guys. We don't watch it.
Fresh and Fit everywhere I go. The debrief is just another extension of Fresh and Fit, you fucking dumbass. Why do you think the debrief is literally demonetized? Because it's Fresh and Fit. If I got motion, he got motion. Today. So shut the fuck up. It's one team. Woo, let's Holy shit, man. I hate y'all niggas, man. When I win, he wins. And you niggas can get mad all you
all Fresh can do is just like do a little sleepy nod, dude. It's so funny, bro. This guy is asleep at the wheel, okay? He's just like, man. What did this shirt say? Motion only club? Jesus.
niggas can get mad all you want. Oh, why did you get half? What did you get half? Oh, well. You niggas are fucking mad because you're not here.
Facts.
So shut the fuck
how you gonna
up.
call him out now?
That's the reality. You fucking faggots get so angry. You niggas hate Fresh, and you know you can't come at me, so you go at him every fucking time. That's all you fucking.
Honestly, I do think that Myron does hate Fresh in a way, though, because he's saying it in such a way that it kind of alleviates of him saying, he basically puts it on the haters. You know, it's like, you guys say Fresh is useless. You say, oh, why does he get half? It's like, I'm pretty sure Myron has that thought himself, but he's going to put it on the haters so he can say it. You know, he can put it out there and get it off his chest. He's like, I'm so glad the haters are here, man. You guys give me catharsis. I can actually I can bring all this stuff to light that I'm really feeling, but put it through you guys. You guys are basically like my wall that I can just throw all this shit on the wall for Fresh. And I know he appreciates the haters. He does. Even though he has to put up this act that, you know, he's like, I don't know why you guys watch us. No, you're glad we watch you, because then we can actually call you out and call Fresh out. And then, yeah, you got to go in the whole defense mode, Johnny Crocken mode, if you will. It's so good. Taking Souls Free came back and says, Fresh looks so defeated. Bro, he always looks defeated, bro. He just wants to get out. He wants to go out and twerk, bro. He wants to go to the club, you know, trick on some hoes and get some strange whatever. Go to the clinic in the morning, rinse and repeat, man. That's what it is. Taking Souls Free came back. He said, that's a good point. He's talking to Fresh in an indirect way. And doesn't Fresh do the same thing when he is going up against Myron? You know, doesn't he say things indirectly about what Myron is doing, but he has never directs it directly at Myron? It's like they do it to each other. When Myron does something to get them demonetized or, you know, whatever, Fresh will say, yeah, it's stupid. What's the point of going against the Jays when you know there's nothing you can do? He's talking on the Gary's podcast with him and the other guy, Dom Luker, and he's just like, yeah, he's like, it's stupid. But you would never say it's stupid to Myron. You're just going to sit there and be quiet. You're never going to say anything to Myron because Myron is your cash cow.
Faggots do. Fresh don't got motion. Fresh don't do nothing. Shut the fuck up. If I got motion, he got motion. I go on Piers, they know about him. Because
if I go on Piers, he stays home. I don't bring his ass. Are you kidding me? What if Fresh was in that panel with Myron? How stupid would he look? I mean, you can't have too many people on that panel that weren't saying anything. The woman that was all the way to the right, she barely said anything, you know? She was just looking there like a deer in headlights the whole time. Could you imagine Fresh being on that panel too? Nah, dude. You can't take Fresh to those kind of things. He doesn't offer any type of perspective. He's just like, yeah, man, whatever Myron says, man.
Well, Fresh.
Look at Fresh. He's so checked out. He's not even like looking at the camera. He's just like, dude, I can't wait for this hater thing to be over. Why do we have call-in shows? This wasn't my idea. I don't like these haters, you know? It's like it doesn't help me. He hates it. Pierce would pick him apart way worse than the callers. I think Fresh would be the one guest that Piers Morgan wouldn't cut off, because he would be like, go ahead, say something. You know, he was like getting Lily Gaddis to say like the N-word or whatever. He's like, just say something. You've been sitting here for 50 minutes. You got headphones, you got a mic, but you haven't said anything. Is your mic muted? No, I'm here. I can totally hear like Myron be like, look, man. He's like, we're a united front. Whatever I say, Fresh believes it too, you know? And it's just like, I think Piers Morgan would definitely challenge, he would challenge Myron on Fresh and be like, well, you know, why don't you let him say that for himself? You know? Why don't you let him speak? And it would be, you know what? It would be brought to the forefront that, oh, Fresh really doesn't have her own opinion about anything because he's not invested in like racially charged things, because he's also far removed from it. Oh, Fridays are the worst day of the week for Fresh. It is, man. He probably used to look forward to Fridays like, he's like, dude, this is another day, man. He's like, Fridays are cool. Fridays are cool, man. Like one day before the weekend, hell yeah, man, we're about to get this party going. And he has to deal with all of this onslaught of like criticism that, look, man, if you're living a good life, you shouldn't let it affect you like this. But look at this guy. This guy is completely like, his soul has been taken on Fridays, man. He's just like, God, I can't wait for the weekend, bro. Shit. This is tough.
It's one team.
No,
this is why you're a fucking loser.
Come on,
calling
now,
at 5
bro.
o'clock in the morning because you ain't got.
Oh shit, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I forgot. This was was this part of the subathon where they were doing like this crazy long podcast? And yeah, Fresh was here. He was here for it, which is, it's rare because Fresh likes to kind of hit the club and probably get to bed and stuff like that. And he doesn't really like to do these long live streams, but he came out for this one. And yeah, man, he was just like, dude, he wasn't contributing, of course, but he came out and yeah, he caught a couple strays, man.
Even Sneeko is saying that you should go solo, bro.
Shut the fuck up, I'm not.
Your own boy Sneeko is saying that.
I don't need to go solo.
Oh, it's a one-man show.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just
I'm
saying,
not
bro.
going
That's
solo.
what your boy is saying,
How
bro.
about you focus on yourself, nigga? I'm not going nowhere. Shut the fuck up. Hate y'all niggas, man. Trying to drive a wedge. It's not working. You've been trying for 4, 5 years. I'm not going anywhere. It's only Fresh and Fit, faggot. Shut the fuck up.
Damn, bro. So I guess you don't fuck with Sneeko then, huh?
I do fuck with Sneeko. I was talking to him just literally the other day.
Why? Okay, so if you're gonna bring up Sneeko, why don't you bring up the boxing match, man? Why don't you let Fresh like speak for himself on this one? You know, it's like, don't let Myron. I wouldn't let. Oh God, man. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, but I gotta critique this hater. It's like, we know that Myron, he sides with Sneeko, whatever. He thinks Sneeko is all right. But we know that Fresh doesn't. Like, they're pretty much like mortal enemies due to jealousy, incompetence, whatever you want to call it. That's where they differ. And I'm pretty sure what he's going to bring up is going to be very similar to the points that I made about, you know, you could do a show with Sneeko, or Sneeko he offers more. But at the same time, it's like, he's already bought in with Fresh, man. It's like, it's too late to change the marquee. Okay, it's too late. He already has like 7 hoodies that all say Fresh and Fit, man. It's too late, man.
Stupid fuck.
Okay, so he hasn't been saying publicly.
It's called loyalty, faggot. Something you don't know.
That.
I treat my friends well. They treat me well. You
bro,
fucking
why
dumbass.
You acting like an emotional bitch, bro?
No, because you're a bitch, and I'm teaching you something. Stop being a fucking faggot. I can tell you're the type of nigga, if things don't go a certain way with your friend, or you feel like I'm contributing more or some other shit, you will leave them at a fucking distance immediately. And that's the problem with you young niggas. You guys don't have no fucking loyalty.
Yeah,
no
bro, I'm
fucking
gonna cut
honor.
off.
Okay, well that would be an indirect shot at Fresh for him saying, he's like, I don't know. You know, you basically put it back on the hater. He's like, look, if you're in a friendship where you think you're contributing more, that's the difference between me and you. You know, he's like, I know I'm contributing more, but my loyalty won't let me leave.
Losers, bro. That's right. I'm gonna cut off people who
You're
hold me
calling in
down,
on our
bro.
shit. You can't even give
Exactly,
real
bro.
fucking facts. You're the loser.
Yeah. I mean, this was pretty bad on Myron. I mean, Myron, we've all seen Myron in this little like state of like emotionality and how like hold on, let's see what people said about this, because I haven't actually
that, bro, but all I'm saying is low-key Fresh.
I haven't actually read these yet. So the guy said, women are emotional. Myron on every call-in show. Oh man. Well, what is Fresh? Fresh is not he's one of those people you can't really say it rolls off his back. I just think he never takes it in. He just like he goes into shutdown sleep mode. Because obviously he didn't say nothing that whole time. I think all he said was facts. That was it. Why is he so mad? Laugh my ass off. Dude wasn't even talking about him. Imagine getting that emotional over another man who isn't your family. Update. This motherfucker keeps getting madder and madder. Is he on his period? Fresh as me. Oh, man. Will you people stop fantasizing like Amaru will ever abandon his ugly ass N-word? Caller, why are you acting like an emotional bitch? Dude, it's funny, man. It's like the hatred now for Fresh is spilling over to Myron now, because we're just like, look, how could you have dealt with this guy for so long? Of course, Daddy Myron has to answer for his kid, L Fresh. It's official. Myron part of the alphabet community. Didn't Myron just tell the dude to drop her female friend on after hours because she provides nothing? Like a few hours prior to this, didn't he tell people to cut off loser friends who smoke weed or play video games? Oh, but surprise, surprise. Fresh is the exception. Congratulations, Marla. You played yourself again. Oh man, rules for thee, but not for me. And then this last person said he emotional. Yeah, definitely, man. That's funny, dude. That was definitely one for the ages. Let me see if
you religious zealots that come in here, the Haram police.
This right here, this is a good one. This is now it seems that Myron is now leaning into a religious grift now. Let's listen to what he has to say.
An atheist,
and this is
hold on. I think
we want to get into that. This is just like new atheism.
Okay, yeah. Let's hold on. Let's go to this one first. The walking contradiction. Then we'll watch the next one.
You religious zealots that come in here, the Haram police, the super, religious people. Like I'm not religious, so if you guys don't like that, like just fuck off. Go watch the religious people then. Yo, Resident Evil, fuck off, bro. I tell you guys, all you Haram police, like literally, you guys, fuck you guys. I'm not Sneeko. You guys can't come in here and bully me and tell me, well, that's Haram. Shut the fuck up. I told you guys a million times I'm not fucking religious. I don't sit here and say I'm a fucking mu'min or none of that bullshit. All right? So y'all are not gonna fucking bully me into doing what you guys want. I'm not fucking Sneeko, man. I love Sneeko. I'm glad that he reverted everything else like that. But y'all are not gonna come in here, because a lot of his supporters come in here and try to bully me into like, well, you did a fight, God, blah, suck a dick. Fuck you guys, okay? I'm gonna do what I fucking want to do. I never purported myself to be a religious individual, all right? I never did. So get the fuck out of here with that shit. You guys want to go ahead and watch a channel that's super religious or whatever? Go watch one of the Muslim channels. That's great. Go ahead and watch
Andrew Wilson.
Go watch. Well, yeah, that's a Christian. But go ahead. You could go ahead and watch Sneeko. You could watch Muhammad Hijab. You could watch Ali Dawah.
He's talking about Muslim channels, and Fresh has to chime in. Andrew Wilson, like, no, he's talking about Muslim channels. Fresh, just drink your 1776 coffee, bro.
Go watch all these guys. Go watch them. Why the fuck y'all niggas over here?
Haram police.
Trying to Haram police me. Get the fuck out of here, bro. We don't fuck with y'all, man. Get out of here.
Yep.
All right? Go watch them.
And it's
Holy
funny.
shit.
It's funny. They get mad at us.
So annoying, bro.
But what is after hours? You're singing full display. How they think? Like, nigga, come
fucking
on, man.
annoying, bro.
Yo, go watch whatever, man.
Y'all are annoying, bro. Like, you guys are not gonna fucking bully me about telling me what the fuck to do is. I don't give a fuck what y'all think, man. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Real talk, man.
These Haram police people are annoying as shit, man. Yeah, I just find it funny because y'all don't watch podcasts at all then. But yo, we got some girls coming up right now.
Yeah, it must be new here. This is why religion is so goddamn important, because what God does is he creates
Here comes the contrast, okay? Here comes the grift. Listen up.
objective morality, okay? Anyone that's an atheist, like, honestly, you're a fucking loser. I'll be honest with y'all. Anyone that's, I don't believe in God, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. All right? You're a fucking retard in my eyes. You know, and it's interesting because all the Abrahamic religions do have objective morality, and guess what? They all line up. Don't kill people. Be good. Don't steal, right? So having humans interpret that, I don't think is appropriate. If you don't believe in God, you don't have fear. If you don't have fear, you act like a fucking retard. You need that fear in God to keep you in check. All right?
Where is it? You know, it just doesn't even sound right coming from Myron, because it's like he having fear, having morality and stuff like that, being afraid of, you know, speaking your mind and stuff. Like, I don't think Myron has any fear of that. I think he just says what he wants because he's like, I got fuck you money. So it's like, it's not a big deal. You know, I'm not afraid to stand up to things. But now he's saying that if you don't believe in God and you're an atheist, then you're an idiot. You're a retard. And I was just like, okay, all right.
So I don't care what your religion is, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all people of the book if you're a part of the 3 Abrahamic religions. If you're a cow worshiper, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what to tell you, nigga. You're deodorant dodger, that's on you. But the reality is, if you're an atheist, you're a fucking loser. Because you are using human interpretation of morality, and then it becomes subjective, and that's a problem. I do believe in objective morality. Okay? I've never publicly said this, but yeah, I don't like atheists. I don't trust them. They're scumbags 9 out of 10 times. Now, are there some good ones? Of course.
I'm wondering if, well, he just said if there are some good ones, of course. I think he had to say that because of Destiny. Destiny is like an open, like, atheist or whatever, and he loves Destiny. So it's like, I'm wondering if he's going to actually, if Destiny would ever bring this up to him. Probably not.
But very hard to find. Maybe 1 out of 10 atheists that I talk to isn't a piece of shit. Maybe 1 out of 10. But most of them, fucking scumbags, because they have no fear in God. If you have no fear in God, you're going to act like a fucking retard. Okay? Like me, for example. If I...
Like you, for an example. Don't you act like a retard? Don't we have clips of Myron acting like a retard on the podcast? You know? I love you. I love you. Like, doesn't he do that? We have clips.
Wrong somebody, right? I won't be able to look at myself in the mirror. Why? Because not only did I fail myself, but I know I failed a higher power as well. Right? So.
Walking contradiction, bro. Like, he completely was just like, the way he started this and the way he's ending it, man. It's, hey, man, good on him, man. He finally found God. Let's see. I think that was pretty much.
Should our society be wrong?
Let me see if
Also,
there's anything else.
you mentioned Skibbity is
Skibbity. Wait, what is this?
Yeah, it's not
let's see. Oh yeah, so somebody posted this. He's like, "Why does Myron seek validation in such a niche audience?" Honestly, I don't get. It's not practical from at all from a business vantage point. He goes all his way out to pander towards gropers and people who despise his ethnicity. And of course, they had to bring up his little crew here, just in case Myron deletes the photo. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is a guy right here, man. He's like, look, man, these are I'm in good with these guys. I can get in good with the rest of them. That's what this is all about. 34. Let's see what this person said here. Myron grew up in post 9/11 American suburb in New England. That should tell you everything. Those boys probably made fun of him so bad it literally destroyed him and created the monster we see today. Myron loves everything he hates. He hates fat people, but his entire team is fat. He hates whores, but he's dating one. He hates liars, but his partner lies. So it's fair to assume that he actually doesn't like white people as much as we might think. I honestly think he loves his team so much because that's the first time he's ever had friends that look like him. That was a good comment. This one right here, I forgot to upvote it. That's a good one. I think he's just a loser that never had a real circle around him. But once he said some racist shit one day and saw all the skin crawlers dig up from their hole and shout "based," he felt like he finally found his belonging. If y'all remember, OG Myron used to say, "Racism is an indicator of low IQ, and a smart person attacks the argument. A stupid person attacks the person." But now look at who we have in front of us. That right there is freaking spot on, dude. It's like Myron will hold one position, and then later down the line, he'll completely have a different position that counteracts that previous position. So, let's go back here. So, this is the brutal truth about the black community. I wanted to see. Okay, so let's skip ahead because we got like 30 minutes left. Okay, I wanted you guys to see Saint in the Center. Saint in the Center, which we've talked about him on this podcast. I wanted you guys to hear his opinion on what Myron said here.
Let's see.
Saint in the Center and David Cooley have joined forces. They are on a co-mission. Their podcast is called The Commission, but they are on a co-mission, I guess, to take over the world. They're gonna. This is a new podcast, so I don't know. But yeah, this clip right here was something that I saw. I think I saw it. I think it came up on my feed. I was like, okay, let's see what he has to say about Myron, and because it's not all favorable.
Over 2,000 people.
Hold on, let's go back. I think it's a little bit further back. Hold on. Whoops. What did I do?
Friend, that he shouldn't even be a part of this conversation. No, Myron's not black.
Okay.
But the privilege he's explaining is, I mean, it's not really privilege. It's like, okay, I can say this, but it's not really privilege. You would say that it's an effect of what the white man has done. Because I always like to say, like, if we're going to speak about, because I see the claims that he's making right now. He's saying that, well, white people are behaving this way and saying these things, and this uproar that white people are doing, this is an effect because black people have been BLM riots. They can call a white person a cracker, which I'm against all of that too.
And one thing I will say about the whole like N-word thing and how black people, will use it amongst each other as almost like a term of endearment. They don't use the hard R, but they will say it with the A on the end. And it's just casual, like Asian people use it, Latinos use it. And it's not a bad thing, it's just like, hey, it's almost like a familiarity kind of thing. But what it does is it takes away the power of that the word actually has to people that get offended by it, but then there's people that just want to drop the word completely, So I think the whole thing about changing the N word to ending it with an A instead of the hard R, is just trying to take the power away from it. Similar to what Kanye West right now is doing with the whole Nazism or whatever, like I think he's trying to not only make the mustache man like more, I guess, what's the word, more mainstream, but I think he's trying to co-opt it as well and trying to, I guess, make it more or less taboo. Whereas I'm sure people that, follow the mustache man are not happy about Kanye West co-opting the whole thing. And, but I think it's kind of similar in that aspect. But yeah, let's listen to what the Saint in the Center has to say about Myron's performance on Piers Morgan.
Black people has been doing this, but then let's peel the layer back even further. Well, why are black people doing this? Well, black people are doing it now, and the BLM riots and all of this is because of the racism in America. What's your take on that, Marquette?
Myron's my good friend. However, everything he said was nonsensical. He hasn't made one good point so far, and he'll still be my good friend even though we disagree. So number one, when he states that everyone's racist, this is not a fact, but he's able to suggest that it is, and no one challenged that idea. That's false. I would go out and say I'm not racist at all. For example, and a lot of people, they look at Myron, and because they're provincial and inexperienced and not sophisticated or well traveled, they look at Myron and they say, oh, he's black. No, Myron's not black. To me, he looks just like a dark Arab. And the reason he looks like a dark Arab is because I've traveled extensively, particularly in the Middle East and Eastern Africa and Southern Africa, and I've seen his face before many times. And so you look at his features, they're not the features of a sub-Saharan African, even though he is dark. You find dark skin in various places, whether you're talking about in India or you're talking about in Australia. We're talking about the Aborigines, the real Australians.
Yeah, Myron would definitely take the Arab over black any day. He would definitely take that title. He probably has no issue with being called an Arab.
So Myron may be dark, but he's not a black person in the sense of he's not an African American, or he's not really properly an African. He looks just like an Arab to me. He is an Arab, and he's just a dark Arab. So when people get angry that he's not so sympathetic to black issues, well, it's like, that's not what he identifies with. I believe his parents.
That's what I said earlier. I think him and Fresh are like so far removed from the struggle of black people, and like they don't even feel like they are part of that whole. They don't even feel like they experience the same type of problems that they have, because they're just like, look, we're not like you, and they'll say, well, you're not like us either.
Parents' mother tongue was probably Arabic. And in as much as that's the case, I get it. However, I would venture to say this, with all respect for my good friend, that he shouldn't even be a part of this conversation. Piers Morgan shouldn't be in the conversation. He's not even an American. He's a goddamn Britisher. And he's therefore removed from this. Myron, he just got here yesterday, as did his parents. They're not a part of this conversation. The history of America and the racial politics, it's black and it's white.
You got to ask yourself, why did they call Myron? Because they knew Myron would be provocative. Why did they ask the Lily Gaddish lady on here? Because they knew that she would be provocative. It was all by design to have these openly racist people on their platform to kind of balance out the people that weren't racist.
This is not to disrespect any other group. And if there wasn't two other groups that would be involved, it'd be the Native Americans, because they were here before all of us and largely got eradicated. They still exist in casinos and in reservations. Shout out to them. So they can be a part of the conversation. And then you'd have Latinos a part of the conversation. But frankly, American racial political history is black and white. There's not much in between. It was always a conversation between these two opposing groups, and they're not really opposing, except that the whites wanted to, oppose the blacks. And it's not every bit of the white structure. It was primarily the property class. And then the other ones just had racism, like petty racism. The property class, they owned black people in a literal sense. But I say all that to say, number one, Myron is irrelevant. He shouldn't be speaking on these issues. These are not his issues at all.
But he will insert himself into any conversation in terms to get his voice out there. The more reach that he has, the more times he gets invited onto these other platforms. Yeah, I mean, he's going to say what he needs to say to get the clicks and to get the controversy. It's like it literally is a formula for what he does to get his voice out there, to be provocative.
Similarly, they're not Piers Morgan's issues, but specifically with regards to Myron's arguments, they're atrocious. Saying everyone is racist, this is not a fact. Saying most people are racist, that makes sense. And then thirdly, he basically conflates a lot of things. And as a result, you can't track the arguments because he's blurring together too many things. In fact, I'd encourage you to rewind back and we can take it sentence by sentence and deconstruct the arguments.
Let's do.
This is what I wanted for everybody to see. Basically, finally, we get to see someone that's in Myron's circle go up against him, where, not in the way that Fresh does it, but more in an analytical sense. And, just for Marquette saying what he has said so far, it seems that he would never say this on Fresh and Fit because he has respect for Myron, but it seems like he will openly say this stuff. And I think, I don't know, maybe Myron will see it and he probably will be like, well, he can have these views. It's fine for him to have these views. I don't hate him for it. I think it's fine. So Yeah, I think there's really nothing you can say to Myron that he's gonna, especially if you're in his circle, that he'll chimp out about. Now, if you're a complete stranger, oh yeah, he'll chimp out all day.
Do it. Let's do it.
George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson.
Get the likes up. Everybody that's supporting right now, get the likes up. We got, let's see, over 2,000 people on all channels, so that's pretty good.
Games, because you've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that
I'll skip ahead this part.
No. Let's
leave it right there. Okay, let's go right there.
I'm not wagging a finger at anybody. I don't need to wag. But Myron, with respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger.
And Marquette, let me know when you want to stop it.
Okay.
When somebody says, "Yeah, I'm racist. I use the N-word against black people," I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is,
Piers Morgan's argument. She said the N-word with the hard R, which was clearly a hateful thing. She was saying it to be malicious against the Black American. That is hate. Then Myron basically engages in a subtle red herring, very slick. He says everyone is racist, which what he's talking about is a mitigating idea, which suggests that, well, all of us have our own biases, yes, but that's a lot different than me going around calling people wet, B-A-C-K-S, or calling people ching chong, and using all these malicious, hateful terms. As
I think when you look at it on an individual level, you can hate a person for who they are, but when you hate a person for what they are, and then hate a whole group of people that you've never met, but you just hate them, outright, yeah, that's a problem. I think you should, if you don't like somebody, you should just not like that one person, but everybody should still start off at like a neutral area, but that's where, things get kind of messed up. I guess if you have enough bad experiences with a particular group of people, I think even so, you just still be like, no, I have bad experience with these people, not all of these people, not all the people, but just these individuals, but I don't know. I guess the mind of a racist man, it just doesn't really go that far. It's just like, no, I hate all these people because, I want to prevent myself from experiencing that again. So yeah, that's why, just cut them all off.
For example, have some inherent bias or some instinct to discriminate merely because people are unfamiliar or different, or I'm ignorant of them, or maybe I've seen a lot of stereotypes. That's a lot different than being willfully malicious. So Piers is talking about racism that is willfully malicious, whereas Myron tries to change the topic to racism that is kind of inherent and thoughtless. So, and I can obliterate these one by one. Carrying on.
It depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh, Hendricks, and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that
this is another thing that clearly shows that we're dealing with racism, because these two situations are very unrelated.
Yeah, they just happen to happen like right after each other. So that's why it's on the top of everybody's mind. And that's why people are trying to kind of, not when I say hedge their bets, I mean basically donate, towards the cause that, against the other cause, whereas the Carmelo Anthony thing is not a racial thing. It wasn't racially motivated. It was just two guys that, one guy told the other guy that he didn't belong there. He didn't belong in the tent. And the guy was like, well, you got to make me leave. And then, it escalated like that. It wasn't racially motivated. I think it was literally just a situation where just two guys just happened to be different races. Whereas the other situation was completely racially motivated. So it's like you can't equate the two.
Shiloh is a white woman who's in a situation that is clearly racial because she's screaming the N-word at a child, no less, a child with special needs. It's clearly a racial situation. The Austin Metcalf situation could be a racialized situation by the onlookers, because truth be told, that could have easily been a situation where Carmelo Anthony was sitting under someone's track tent. A black kid could have walked up to him like, hey, bro, you ain't even a...
My exact point, man. It could have been a black kid. It could have been anybody else that was not white. And the same thing could have went down. Would it have been called racist, a racially motivated act then? No, I don't think so.
A part of this school. You're not supposed to be under this umbrella, bro. Go over there. And then Carmelo Anthony could have hunkered down and said, no, make me. And then the dude put his hands on him. Black guy put his hands on Carmelo. Carmelo pulled out that thing, hawked him. Now he's dead. There was no overt racial reality to that. It was made racial by the onlookers. So these two phenomena are not even congruous. The only reason that whites bring that up is as an excuse, is a rallying cry to circle around this white kid who is a victim and thereby aggress toward blacks. That's all that was. And
the bigger problem is what I call systemic organization.
I just want for those who are watching, each one of these arguments are being obliterated and it's effortless. I don't even have to think, to be honest with you. I could play piano right now while saying this. It's that easy. Go ahead.
Something tells me that Destiny, that little debate that he had with Destiny and how Destiny started playing the piano, still lives rent-free in Marquette's head. I'm pretty sure.
Hey, man, you spitting.
And what I mean by this is for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy.
He said for decades, we've had black people running around with black supremacy. Fascinating. I'd go ahead and say, if I was Piers Morgan, which I'm not, because I'm not going to get into it. But if I was Piers Morgan, I would say for decades, well, Myron, how many decades have we had black people running around with black supremacy? How many decades is that, Myron? Was it in the 1800s? Was it during enslavement? No. Okay. Was it during Reconstruction? Was it right after the Civil War? No. Was it during Jim Crow when they were not getting their enfranchisement? No. Okay. Was it when the 1950s and 1960s when they were marching and trying to get the right to vote? No. Okay. Was it the 1970s when they still weren't getting their due? Was it the 1980s when they had to radicalize because they weren't getting their due? When did black people become black supremacists? Was it in the 90s when they started perming their hair out to imitate the white people that most of them look up to very much? When did the black supremacy start to exist? Name me 3 black supremacist organizations with significant membership. You couldn't. In fact, I could get a Lil Wayne concert and that would have more attendees than any black supremacist organization you could name.
Kawas came back. He says, Marquette wouldn't have this energy in front of Myron's face, though. Let's be honest. Oh, bro, that's why I said, like, he would never go on Fresh and Fit and directly oppose Myron. We know that. Like, he would basically just kind of go with the flow and, you know, chime in on points that he agreed with. But anything that he would disagree with, he would probably do a separate video on his own channel or maybe on this channel and oppose him then. And whether Myron took the time to scour the internet to actually see it, you know, if it wasn't presented to him directly, yeah, he probably wouldn't know about it, or even if he did know it, he probably wouldn't be affected by it. You know, he's like, you know what, that's fine for you to have that view. But yeah, I do agree. I don't think Marquette would ever like oppose Myron in a debate, like in a heated debate. I don't think that would ever happen. They're too loyal of friends.
For example, if you talk about the Nation of Islam, this organization nearly has no members. That's why they partnered up with the Church of Scientology, which is a white organization. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, once the FBI went in and murdered people, literally, illegally, unethically, the new Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, they can't even get members. So what are you talking about? This is not truth. There's no evidence of it. It's truly speculative.
Committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example,
he stated black people are committing crimes and not having accountability for their actions. This is the most ludicrous thing on earth. See, I would challenge him with the statistics. Number one, half of the prison population is black male. So it's about 48, 49%, right? The black population in America is about 12%, and I would venture to say much less if we actually had a true accounting of who's in the country. With that being the case, we are disproportionately represented in the penal system. So clearly they're experiencing accountability. Furthermore, not only are they experiencing accountability, they're experiencing more than accountability. There's a scholar named Dr. Renford Reese, whom I know personally. He wrote a book called The Prison Race. You can find a lot of the knowledge I speak to, which is all fact-based. You go to amazon.com/shop/the Saint and the Sinner spelled out. It's a lot of literature there. But anyways, Dr. Renford Reese wrote a book called Prison Race. When you hold consistent prior crime, current crime, and then you look at jail time, you find that blacks are getting more jail time than whites on average. It's very clear. It's very much so statistically significant. So they are being held accountable. In fact, they're being abused in the criminal injustice system of the United Snakes of America. And
Yeah, but also you could also argue that black people commit crimes that are different from what white people commit. I think white collar crime is different. I would say, yeah, it would probably hold a different penalty, a different type of sentencing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure if you stole like $1 million from like a couple of accounts, whatever, doing a white collar crime, embezzlement, whatever, that's gonna be a very different sentence that you're gonna get than a guy that actually shoots another guy. It's gonna be completely different.
I say this as a patriot, but to be a patriot means that I identify with the people of America, who are the greatest people on the planet Earth, including with our significant racist population. But our government is filthy. And what he's speaking of right now is completely devoid of facts.
George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal.
Pause.
A lot of these people are criminals.
This is the first time he says something meaningful in this conversation. And it's meaningful because Black people do circle around the wrong person. We support the degenerate in our community. We support as he said, I don't even know these people's names because I don't even care who they are, but Freddie Gray, I remember because I used to teach in Baltimore, Maryland. And unlike the multitude on the internet who talk about Black issues, I actually was a teacher teaching Black kids in some of the worst, most dangerous schools in America. I've actually put in the work because I care beyond just babbling my fucking gums. Damn, I didn't mean to curse. Excuse me. I got to be like Cooley. But you heard me. But the Freddie Gray, the Mike whoever, and the other guy who is I forget or George Floyd. Yeah, we circle around the wrong persons, but it goes beyond that. Charleston White, who told you guys that he was a person to listen to? He's a rat and a snitch and a criminal. You circle around the Sexy Reds and all of these characters. Black people need to circle around the best of us, the best among us, not the degenerates. So this I agree on, even though he didn't explicitly state that. So my good friend Myron, I think, has a meaningful point here.
Let's continue on.
And you notice how Saint and Sinner keeps saying, my good friend Myron, like he basically has to keep peppering that in so that, it isn't looked at that he's being malicious against him, even though he completely disagrees with him even being on this podcast. He doesn't think that he needs to be here because for one, he doesn't represent Black people, and he also doesn't represent white people. Like he's just a commentator. He's just a guy. But yeah, he doesn't hold any. He shouldn't have a voice on this podcast, which that's good. That kind of the same thing could be said about Piers Morgan as well. Being British and stuff, but he can still have, it's his show. He wants to have these views, and if this is a topic he wants to talk about and he wants to assemble the guests, I think it's all by design though. Like Piers Morgan can play dumb and say, like, I didn't know Myron was a racist. I didn't even know Lil Gaddish was a racist. I don't even know this. I didn't think she was going to say anything racist. And yeah, it just goes to show, as long as you act aloof, it can still be content for you.
And what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, It's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white.
So this is another dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy. And again, I can destroy these people's arguments for years on end. I could talk infinitely. Just it's ridiculous. He says, you black people being killed by the police. No, it's black people being killed by black people. This is a false dichotomy. The reason that the population is more angered by the police killing black people is because, unlike your peers, other civilians, be them black or white, we don't expect other civilians to be those who are providing our safety, providing for protection of property, those who we have made public servants and funded through our tax dollar, not only today, but over generations. So if another black person commits a violent crime against you, it is a terrible thing, and we should look into that. I agree. However, you cannot compare this to the police committing what are essentially crimes against black people when they're violent toward blacks or they murder blacks, because those are the people that we're paying our tax dollar to. Those are the people whose actual job it is to protect and serve, not to be aggressive, violent, and dominate. And I will also further say that it's become so despicable in this police state that the police they pretty much grimy to everybody. They're grimy to other police officers that they might encounter off duty. They're grimy to white folks. It's really despicable because the government has gotten too big and they've lost their original charge, which they were charged with serving the taxpayer.
People 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white people white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality or, oh, it's all so messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers.
So when he says they're able to get away with a lot of privilege, I'll say, what do you mean by privilege? Are you talking about the fact that 49% of the prison population is black? Is that the privilege you're talking about?
I think the only privilege that Myron is talking about is being able to say the N-word with impunity, and also being able to be openly racist to other races and stuff and not get canceled. I think that is the only thing that Myron is referencing.
You're talking about the fact that blacks have the lowest levels of educational attainment. Is that what you're speaking of? What are you talking about? So if we want to categorize it racially, if we looked at it racially in terms of DEI or even affirmative action, we see that the white female is the beneficiary. White. So if we're looking at it racially, then we would still have to reassign the privilege to whites. But I really don't speak in terms of privilege, because if your ancestors created that privilege for you, hey, that's what they earned for you. And it is what it is. But what he's doing is he's absolutely lying, and Piers is not challenging him to give any evidence. And that's why Piers is a particularly slimy character, because you allow Myron to go on and on with fallacious arguments. They're specious arguments. It sounds like he's correct because it's almost right, but it's completely wrong, actually.
Without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Awesome. Now, look, am I saying...
Now, how crazy is he says white America has had enough of it. You're an Arab. You're an Arab. Well, what do you mean? Are you white? Like, you're...
He has slipped up and said he was white. Yes. If you guys don't know, we have the Alvin and Preach clip where he was talking about running trains with, other men in college. And he's like, black guys typically don't go for it. White guys, I almost said white guys. And so, yeah, I mean, he slipped up and said it. And we all have the proof of it. I mean, it's like he wants to be white so bad. So it's his thing. He doesn't want to be around black people.
Why do you care? And that's what I would have asked as Piers.
Why does he care? It's because he wants to be accepted. It's plain and simple. It's actually not that complicated.
I said, hey, Myron, I just can't help but notice everyone on the panel is either black or white. So we're kind of directly in this thing. Why do you care? Like your parents, their mother tongue was Arabic, not Swahili. Why do you care? Like what dog do you have in the race? A lot of these black folks, their family's been here for 400 years. Why do you care so much? And, in answering that question, honestly, it just removes him from the conversation, because he doesn't need to care. He's just a commentator, just like a Ben Shapiro or anybody else. They're just commentators. And when Ben Shapiro is speaking about things that don't involve Zionism, then really he's getting outside of his he's just making content. And frankly, this has nothing to do with Myron, and certainly he shouldn't be speaking on behalf of white people, talking about they're fed up, because truth be told, I don't think that's the case. I as Myron does, I'm sure, have a ton of white friends. I almost never hear them say, you know, I'm fed up with the way black people are acting. No, it's that he's around.
You know, they're in a completely different world. They have a completely different experience in the world. They're not even concerned with black people and the lives of black people. They're living their own lives. So yeah, I mean, to say that white people are fed up with the way black people as a mass majority, I don't think that's the case. I think it's a small group of individuals that happen to have platforms to be able to spout this and have it, and it gets a lot of reach. That's all it is. Same thing with Myron. Myron has a platform where he can reach a lot of people with his views, and you know, whether they are right or not, you know, like he gets the reach.
Folks that are radicals and racists, and they have a lot to say.
And everyone in the chat right now, I see you guys, a few of you, I'm reading the regular chat. You're like, yo, just let the video play. We already let this portion of the video play. Myron went ahead and spoke, but Marquette is doing a systematic breakdown of each point that is said. So that's what we're doing right now. It's called an internal critique. But okay, let's continue on.
That's awesome. Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Pause.
Right, but just to be...
So when he speaks of...
He keeps saying we are all tired of it. Whatever. It's just, he keeps lumping himself in with the white people, man. He just wants to be, a part of it, man. And that's it's one thing that nobody will ever be able to tell Myron anything different, because this is his position. This is where he wants to live. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't, even when that party tells him like, oh, you know, we're glad you're doing all this work and stuff like that. You know, we appreciate, but you got to understand, you know, once we take this country back, we want it for us, and then you'll have to leave. And Myron just, for some reason, cannot like comprehend that. He can't contend with it. He just kind of ignores it and just brushes it off as like an individual opinion about it, when he knows that, you know, the massive group of white supremacists, they accept him, and he's like, no, he's like, I'm going to fight for those people.
BLM and liberalism. So liberalism, you're talking about white people, dummy. Liberalism is not something that was created by blacks. In fact, one of my major criticisms of black people in America, and in fact around the world, is that they don't seem to be the biggest thinkers. They've not created any ideology or systems of thought. So liberalism is something that comes from whites, and as it's practiced today and spread throughout the earth, it is something that comes from whites. And where do whites program black people with this idea? They do it in public schools. Teach for America is one major organization that has infiltrated public schools, and they teach this stuff to blacks and Latinos in poverty. And they also reprogram you at the university level, and of course in between. And then Netflix and other instruments they have. So when he's talking about liberalism, again, he's stepping away from blacks, and he's actually talking about what whites are doing. And the truth is, when you're in a...
Myron can only speak at it from the white perspective, because that he's so far removed from the black perspective, the black, you know, the way black people live and stuff. Yeah, of course, that's his only perspective. That's the perspective he wants to be a part of.
Majority white system, political system, which is a majority rules system, a democracy, and in this case it's more rightly described as a republic, then anything that happens can only happen with the consent of white people. So when he's making a suggestion that blacks are some organized villainous group that's highly effective and methodical, this is utterly ludicrous. Black people can scarcely figure out how to, you know, keep their families together. They're not creating any mastermind plots to marginalize the whites. That's a different group of people that are going to remain unnamed.
Cha-ching.
All right, we got a few super chats in here. I'm trying to pull them up for you guys. Let's see here.
Yeah, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly...
Okay, yeah, he was done with that. So now we'll just play it from here and continue to react to the channel. Hey, Marquette, good breakdown, bro.
I appreciate that, and you got to ignore the...
That was pretty much what I wanted to show you guys. I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I got. Let's skip to the very end, because that's the good part. Let's see if they actually... Do they actually talk about it? Let's see. No, I don't think so. I don't think they ever get to the part where he actually whips out the N-word gun. But yeah, guys, I think that is it. Let me go ahead and bring it back real quick. Let me find this right here. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. So I do want to thank you guys for joining me. We're going to keep following this story as it develops. And if you guys have any comments or any questions and stuff for me in terms of, what to cover next, I'm totally down to look at that. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. Cabos, taking souls for free. I appreciate you coming out. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys. Coke Benny, as always, thank you for coming out. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys take care. Great stream. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you. All right, bro. I'll see you guys on the next one.